Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you've got us feeling alright. What's up? Welcome, friends and fiends, to another RedDeathMask stream. I just came off heavy. I was heavy jamming out to Piano Man. So, and it's a good song too if you want to warm up your voice. I feel like Billy Joel's, I don't know, the way he sings it leads me to be able to kind of get in a deeper register and warm up my voice. And so that's what I try to do, is rock out before I go live, just to my voice doesn't sound quite as shaky. But what's up, Harvey? Hello, how are you doing? Always good to have you here. You're always one of the first ones in. But yeah, today we are not going to listen to Piano Man. Even though I would love that, it'll definitely get copyrighted. We are going to be diving back into the North American Pantheon. Hello. I hope you're doing well too, Harold. Good to see you. So yeah, we are going to be doing a continuation of the North American Pantheon. We did the first two episodes and the trailer last time. This time I kind of just want to dive right into Baby Girl, so that hopefully we can get a little farther on in the series, maybe even get all the way caught up here. I'll open a new tab and let's see. That's another good song too, Doses and Mimosas. Oh, it's because I have it. Okay. I'm like, what the hell? I thought it would have the channels, but okay. Yeah, because I believe let's see, it's kind of hard to count the episodes, but I believe, yeah, so it's Numa, Bye Bye Mommy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7. Yeah, because I haven't watched the newest one. So there's 7 episodes out. Last week's was kind of a shorter one, only 24 minutes. But yeah, I want to at least get to, because we have Baby Girl, the Harlequin, which is an hour long, and then the Bag Lady, which is another. They're all good, but was another one of my favorite episodes. And then we have the 2 new ones after that. So we got a lot of stuff to get to. So I don't want to rant or ramble too hard. But I just want to say thank you to the North American Pantheon channel, as well as the subreddit. Everybody go follow, subscribe, whatever, join the North American Pantheon subreddit, because they post every time a new story's up. They post, they have the story master list if you just want to read through them yourself. They have links to Dopabeane Substack for all their other writing projects and stuff. And it's very cool, and I like seeing a subreddit dedicated to a specific story, because it's just cool. It's kind of a place where you could go and share a theory if you have, or if you have a question about a certain character or whatever. Like, I always, there's always, maybe you have a take on a movie or something, right? And you want to make a post about it, but like all you can really do is go to a specific, like maybe a horror movie subreddit, or maybe just like a general, whatever film subreddit. and they're not that specific, a lot of times, but it is cool to have you know, a subreddit that's for this specific story and universe. Yeah, I just think that kind of allows people to, post and be more specific about like their fan fiction or their theories, whatever ways they want to contribute to the series as a fan. It's just there's a home for it, and I really like that. I think that's super fun. So yeah, go join go subscribe on YouTube. New stories every Sunday. Listen to the new episode of CREEPCAST and then listen to North American Pantheon right after that. It's a great series so far, and it's just really kind of getting going. We're like I said, I was counting the episodes. We're about like maybe 7 episodes in. But there's a lot more, there's a lot more to go. We're really just scratching the surface. Yeah, Harold says, yeah, I love it when a community comes together over something like this and makes their own sub out of it. Yeah, exactly. And what's really cool is, it's clearly like Dopabeane's fans coming together to make the community and make the subreddit, but it's also like, because they were so unfairly, as most people are, unfairly banned from No Sleep, and like even though their story was super popular on No Sleep, so the fans are just like, screw this, we're like, we want this story to have a home, we're gonna make a home for it, and that's what they did. And now it's there, and then you can you can obviously find the Substack versions of the story. So even if you can't read it on Reddit now, it's like you can still find it. It just it makes it so much easier. Because for a while there, I was looking for the story, and that's how I came across the subreddit. Was like I was trying to find videos of narrations of it or other people, and I couldn't find that much. And I was like, for a story that like I've heard about that seems somewhat popular, I'm surprised there are no narrations. Well, it turns out there are a few, but there was this project in the works and it was about to come out, and so that's kind of how I found it, and it really wound up being perfect. Let's see, wannabe Kowalski. Hey man, wish I could hang out, but I've got an upset toddler. I'll check out the VOD in the morning. Well, hell yeah! Thank you for stopping by. Don't worry about it. Don't ever feel like I always appreciate when people pop in the chat or even just watch the stream for a second, but don't ever feel like you've got to stay for the live. The whole reason I started to stream on YouTube instead of like Twitch or another platform is because the VODs just stay up, and there's no like rush to see it live, whereas some of these platforms are more like live centric, where if you weren't there live, you really weren't there at all, kind of a thing. But I like the VOD, being able to rewatch the whole VOD, you know what I mean? So and I think that's pretty much it. I guess to recap, in case you weren't here, or I will just really briefly recap. For the first streamer, you've never heard about this series before. The North American Pantheon is a writing project by, I believe it's R.C. Bowman is their name. Anyways, they go by Dopabeane online. And it is essentially a story about prisoners, prison guards, monsters, basically, in this facility called the North American Pantheon, where supernatural entities are contained, as well as like studied, and sometimes even like killed, or they try to figure out if they even can kill them or whatever, to quote unquote like protect the public. Although we're already get, even early in the series, getting the sense that this agency that runs the prison, the Agency of Helping Hands, it's called, is not very altruistic. They seem to have kind of, their stated purpose is just to protect human life, but they seem, just as likely to capture / kill humans if it serves their greater purpose, or if it if it means that they'll get to study a monster or something, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of like it's got SCP vibes, but it's like a really fun creature feature, kind of X-Files vibe to the series too. And each episode in the series, or each part, like, just kind of focuses on a specific entity. And our main character, Rochelle Bean is her name, like Agent Bean she's called. She interviews these monsters, and she has sort of an ability. She's sort of an entity herself, if you will, although she's like a human, a mortal human, to get these monsters to kind of open up. And she's always been able to get people to talk and tell her things that they're not supposed to, her whole life. And so she has this kind of special ability, and the agencies realize this, and so they've co-opted her to basically be like a forensic interviewer / psychiatrist for these monsters. And they're kind of hoping to use her to gain insights on the more dangerous or secretive of the creatures, in the hopes that they can find ways to either like kill / contain them better, or sometimes even co-opt them. Like we'll see with Kristoff, the character Kristoff, or the big bad wolf. The agency uses certain entities who are willing to kind of play its game, or willing to be cooperative. That's one of the classifications they have, is like cooperative, non-cooperative. If they're cooperative, the agency will actually use them to hunt other entities or contain other entities. And so it's very, very cool, very very interesting kind of crossover between, like, kind of like a psychiatrist, almost like a Sopranos vibe, where, like, every episode's going to start with kind of like a therapy session, but then it kind of moves into this SCP / like police procedural, supernatural, almost show, so it's kind of like, it's a mismatch. It's a hodgepodge of some of all of my favorite types of shows or types of things, and that's why I'm so excited to cover the series and continue to see where it goes, because I love, the X-Files, Supernatural. I watched, and I wasn't like the hugest fan of Supernatural, but I'm just saying, like, I did watch that show, as well as like cop show, just straight up mysteries, and yeah, just stuff like that I've always found really fascinating. And this series does a really good job of, like, humanizing, because some of the monsters are humans, but humanizing these entities and showing that most of the time, if it's not a good reason, they still have a reason for doing what they do. Something led to them gaining these supernatural powers, or becoming a monster, or they were killed in some brutal way that allowed them to, be reconstituted as this new entity. And yeah, it's pretty sick. So without any further ado, let's just get into, I think this is episode 3, maybe, Baby Girl. I do kind of wish we had episode, because they seem to be going back and forth between titling them Baby Girl and then titling them their original, like, fuck HIPPA, my patient, yada yada titles. And because of that, I do have to say that I think episode numbers would be helpful, just like in a TV show, season 1, episode whatever, would maybe help, at least me. But I realize numbers are kind of boring for YouTube titles, and so maybe a lot of people, maybe there's a reason why they don't do that. But it's just something I noticed. Hey, also I don't. But if you're ever looking for material for a future stream, look up Poorly Planned Comics in your free time. Mind melting rabbit hole. I will check it out, Harold. Thank you. I haven't really covered much comic type stuff, so that would be interesting to check out sometime. But anyways, let's get into it. So this is the North American Pantheon, aka Fuck HIPPA, series, and this is Baby Girl. Let's do it.
In March 1995, an urban legend began to circulate in Kern County, California, concerning an immensely violent video game called Baby Girl. According to the rumor, the player character is a young mother named Sandy. The game begins with a scene depicting Sandy and her daughter, Anne-Marie, playing Super Mario Bros.
So I've listened to this story, this isn't my first time hearing this specific episode, but I completely forgot about the whole video game angle to this story, which makes it even more fascinating. But I wanted to say that real quick because I was like, oh shit, I completely forgot about that element. Makes the story even better.
On an SNES console. Anne-Marie wins a level, and Sandy praises her, saying, "Good job, baby girl." At that moment, a group of men breaks into the apartment to attack Sandy. They knock her out, and the screen fades to black. Shortly after, a new scene fades in. Sandy and Anne-Marie, who is crying hysterically, are in a car with the men. It is nighttime, the sky is dark, with a grinning moon shining through the car window. A mission menu pops up in the bottom of the screen, providing multiple choices to propel the game forward by prompting the player to convince the men to let Sandy and Anne-Marie go. But no matter what option the player selects, the mission fails. Following the mission failure, the car slows to a halt. The men force Sandy and Anne-Marie out of the car and proceed to torture Sandy while forcing Anne-Marie to watch. Anne-Marie cries throughout the ordeal while Sandy attempts to comfort her, repeating phrases such as, "It's okay, baby girl." "They're just chickens, baby girl." "Be brave, baby girl." "It'll be over soon, baby girl." And "Be strong, baby girl." Although myriad choices and option menus appear on screen over the course of the assault, none change the outcome. Once Sandy is incapacitated, the men kill Anne-Marie, dismember her, and bury her in a shallow pit while Sandy is forced to watch. Throughout this sequence, the game presents the player with several actions for Sandy to take in order to attempt escape, but all choices result in failure. After burying Anne-Marie, the men bundle Sandy's broken body into the car, and the screen fades to black, with text stating, "Game over." No matter how many times the player plays, no matter what options or combinations of choices they make, the result is always the same. The game is unwinnable. While the game was generally dismissed as an urban legend, the Kern County Sheriff's Office believed in the possibility of such a game existing, operating on the theory that the game was an inside joke created by someone involved in an unsolved murder that had occurred several months prior to the beginning of this urban legend. This is because the sequence of events depicted in the game closely matched elements of this case. Incredibly, for a department with such a notoriously checkered history, the department pursued every lead and eventually managed to track down and obtain a copy of the game. One of the detectives assigned to the case.
See, and already this is what I love so much about this series, is that it just shoves you in. Like, right, boom, crime, crazy crime happened, but the crime is described to you as this video game because this video game does exist depicting what actually happened. during this crime. And it's so like floor or pedal to the floor that you're like, you kind of forget that they're describing it, other than the parts where it's like fade to black. You forget that even it's describing a video game, and it's almost like you're just hearing about a crime that was committed, and you're like, oh my God. And then we figure out that it closely matches this actual crime, and it was believed, by the Kern County Sheriff's Office, is believed to be an inside joke, which already is like a crazy theory, that it's like somebody committed a crime, and then, like a kidnapping, a horrible kidnapping and murder, and they're like, we're going to go through the trouble of programming, of creating a video game that closely resembles it, and one in which the player can't do anything to change the outcome, which, again, is just so terrifying to even think about. You have this illusion of like choice, of, try to escape this way, try to sneak out, try to open the door to the van, try to unlock the whatever, try to grab the steering wheel and force it off the road, whatever, like all these things, but they all just result in the same outcome, is horrifying. I wonder, I wonder if anyone has made a baby girl like sim game, and that would be absolutely horrifying to play if they have. I don't think I would even play it, but it's funny to think about like some cartoonishly evil murderer kidnapper guy that's like also a video game programmer, and he's like, I'm gonna make a game so I can relive the torture and the murder of this young child and their mother. And so that is just so haunting already off the bat, that this game, even because at first it's like, well, the game might exist, and then it's like, actually they found a copy of the game, and so you're like, oh my God, the game physically does exist. And yeah, it's just insane. We'll figure out more here in a second, but even before we know of how how the game actually came to be, it's just so haunting, that idea that's like, maybe amongst like, rather than have, snuff films or whatever of like a murderer's actions, that there's someone out there who's like, I'm gonna make a game of it. I don't just want to record something. I want to physically program a whole sequence of events, and a game where it's unwinnable, but the character has the illusion of choice, or the illusion that they can change the outcome.
Played the game for several weeks straight in an attempt to search for clues to the case. Played the game for several weeks straight in an attempt to search for clues, eventually discovering that credits roll after the game over scene. Each credited role, producer, artist, designer, and so on, is the same name, Baby Girl. After these credits comes a cutscene of the location where the killers left Anne-Marie's remains. The cutscene plays out as follows. On screen, dirt begins to shift and swirl. A pixelated head that is visibly decayed appears. The head is crying, and a caption appears below it. The caption reads, "Baby girl needs your help. Will you help her? Press X for yes, press O for no." If the player selects yes, the decaying head smiles as small fireworks erupt around her. A moment later, the head vanishes and the screen goes dark, displaying a message. Look behind you. When the player turns to look, the physical revenant of Anne-Marie appears. It is almost incomprehensibly ghastly. The detective who initially made the discovery resigned from his position, eventually ending up in psychiatric inpatient care. The copy of the game remained in the custody of the Kern County Sheriff's Office until an ONOSCU agent infiltrated the department and took possession of the cartridge. Agency personnel played the game under strict observation. When the end scene played, the player selected No. The screen went dark and displayed the following message: "Close your eyes." As instructed, the agent obeyed. At this time, the Revenant was observed by multiple onlookers to materialize out of the shadows. The Revenant's appearance startled and severely disturbed all observing personnel. Before any action could be taken, the Revenant killed the player. What followed was one of the worst mass casualty events in agency history. The Revenant was eventually contained at great cost to the agency of Helping Hands, but she was contained. It must be noted that this entity is not destructible, but she is containable, unless and until someone plays the baby girl game. This has caused significant difficulty over the past 30 years. To date, the agency has managed to locate and take into possession 17 copies of Baby Girl. However, there are clearly additional copies circulating given that Baby Girl periodically vanishes from her cell. To date, only 2 copies have been located entirely without incident. The others were only located after the Revenant poured it out, following a player summoning her through the game's yes and no buttons. It must be noted that there is no right answer for any player. If the player presses yes, agreeing to help the Revenant essentially drives them insane, either via haunting or tormenting them, which is what happened to the detective from the Kern County Sheriff's Office, or by compelling them to retrace the events of her murder and attempt to track down her mother's whereabouts. Interestingly, the Revenant's ultimate goal is not retribution against the murderers, but simply locating her mother's missing body. While simple in theory, this appears to be impossible in practice because no one has succeeded. When the player invariably fails to locate the mother's burial site in real life, the Revenant lures the player to the lake where she herself was murdered and proceeds to kill them, utilizing the same pattern and manner in which she herself was brutalized, then scatters the pieces alongside her own remains before fading away, at which time she reappears in her cell at the Pantheon. The Revenant isn't happy that she constantly respawns in her cell, and there have even been ethical objections raised against the fact that the agency forces her to return to custody. However, it's obvious that the agency has no choice but to contain her. The Revenant is dangerous to an objectively ridiculous extent. Further, she appears incapable of controlling her emotions or breaking out of the pattern that was embedded in her at the time of her death. As a result, the agency...
Well, yeah, she's a child. That's the thing, is like, you know, she was brutally murdered in this way as a child. And so, because she's this revenant, as they call it, this like specter, this ghost, she wants help, right? She wants help finding her mom. But at the same time, she doesn't know how to get that help, and because the nature of her, you know, death was so horrible, and then her like revival, it's like she can't help but to drive them insane, even if she's just like, help me find my mommy, help me find my mommy. But you see this horrifying zombie, you know, girl popping out from the dark at you, asking you to help her find her mom. Yeah, that would drive anyone insane. I don't think that it's her goal to necessarily drive the people who select yes insane, that they will help her. But I think it's ultimately what happens, because either the people can't find her mom or they, you know, they don't even know where to begin. They're like, yes, of course I would help you. But then they're the same way that the girl has no idea of how to track down her mom or where to find her. The person that's being haunted is equally helpless. And so because of that, it just leads to her, you know, sort of, almost like consuming the people that agree to help her, which is which again, it's just so haunting, but it's like, it's also like, you can't blame her. She's just an angry spirit trapped, linked to this game somehow, which it seems like the game is a creation. Like, the game just materialized the same way she materialized out of the ground or whatever. It's so haunting to think about this little girl and even being trapped in her cell at the Pantheon. You know, she didn't choose to be killed or choose to be resurrected, and so now she's just stuck, and all she wants to do is either find her mom's body, which I have some theories about, which we could get into later, when the story's completed. But yeah, it's, oh god, I think about that fate of being forever like trapped in the state of being undead and all that other stuff, but then also just like, just help me find my mommy. I miss my mommy. Oh god, it's like, have that very natural childlike desire for a parent, and have that that very natural human desire overblown so much to the point where it's like it's like a cancer on anybody who comes into contact with it. It's just so haunting to see that very like natural instinct perverted, or not necessarily perverted, but you know what I mean, taken to a place where it completely, kills anyone it touches and drives them insane and all that stuff. Yeah, it's just haunting. And the predicament of like baby girl as an entity, is really one of the most terrifying parts of this story. Like, yes, she's a scary zombie, a scary ghost zombie, She's undead. She got cut up and murdered and then put back together and crawled out of the ground. Like, all of that is terrifying. But I think the most terrifying part is strictly the predicament of being forever stuck as a child who can't find their parent, who misses their parent, who's lost, essentially, like, although sometimes she has a place to go, or like the game materializes her and then she has a person that she's like haunting, then she still ultimately is just a child lost and in need of, their parent, and that is just so heartbreaking. But yeah, anyways, it's a great monster idea. Creepy, you have the creepy, child, whatever, like that element of it too. But just to be that, and then like have the pet name of like baby girl, yeah, it just does a really good job of like walking that line between just like straight up creepy and like, oh fuck no, like the part where it's like close your eyes or look behind you. It does such a good job of walking that line of where you're like, fuck no, kill it, beat it in the head with a hammer, no, sort of a thing, for the scary child, trope, but then it also really humanizes her and makes it to where you're like, yeah, help baby girl. Like, someone needs to find where her mom is buried, or find her mom, you know what I mean? Like, it's the only thing that's going to make sense for how this story ends. It's the only thing that, cuz she's an innocent victim in all this. So it's like, yeah, you want her to get justice. She just doesn't know how. And yeah. Oh god. So just stomach turning.
He has no choice but to contain her and to continue to hunt and destroy extant copies of the game. Neutralizing the baby girl entity is one of the agency's top priorities. Despite acquaintance with all manner of gods and monsters, all personnel at all levels are unusually disturbed by this revenant. Close proximity to her induces fragile mental states and introduces health issues that often become incurable.
Yeah, Harvey said the fact that the game lets you try to help, but none of the options work is a great touch. It really is. It really, I know that there's like probably a lot of games or whatever where, you know, they have like a sad ending, or, you know, the outcome isn't particularly happy, or maybe the one that that you thought going into it where it was going, you know, like Mouthwashing comes to mind, or some of these other games. But to like have it be that and then the sense that it always says like game over, so it's not like game over, like yes, the credits roll and all that stuff, but it to me it's saying game over in that like you lose, you know, you lose every time. And no matter what you do when you're playing as the character, I forget if it says if you're playing as the mom or the child, but either way you're destined to lose. And yeah, it's just so like poetic and horrifying. And then so you play this game and then you're given this choice, right? And then even once you have made that choice, it's like you're still destined to lose, because she's just gonna fucking haunt you and either drive you insane, or just straight up kill you, you know? And she might kill you right away if you select no, or she might kill you later once you're like, I can't find your mom. I don't know what you want me to do, you know? I'm sorry, I looked, you know, I tried to crack the case, I couldn't do it. And then she'll still kill you. So it's that sense too of just no matter what you do, you lose. Kind of reminds me of the Walking Dead game, where you make all of these choices that affect the story, but it always ends with you taking control of a little girl to kill your character. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I could see, I've never played the Walking Dead game, but I could see the similarities. And yeah, I'm sure that element is used a lot in a lot of different like horror games and stuff. But I like that it happens in the game first, then you're given the choice at the end of the game, then it happens in real life. Is just, yeah, it the same way that the baby girl is stuck in this time loop of reliving her murder and all that stuff. The player then becomes stuck in the same exact thing, where they're just destined to get killed by this entity no matter what. Is so awesome. I love it. It's a great touch.
And occasionally terminal. Even worse, she induces these effects in other inmates. This potential for disaster cannot be overstated. Absent a way to destroy her, our only hope is to neutralize her by locating her mother's remains. To that end, the agency has assigned 2 agents the task of locating the remains of the Revenant's mother. To date, all efforts have been met with failure. In an effort to finally mitigate this failure, agency administration has assigned T-Class Agent Rochelle Bean, which is myself, to interview this inmate for the express purpose of obtaining information that will serve the goal of permanently neutralizing her. My name is Agent Bean. Today I'm conducting an investigative interview with Inmate 4, Baby Girl. Her classification string is as follows: non-cooperative, indestructible, chthonic, protean, critical, hemitheos. Hello, my name is Rochelle.
My name is Anne-Marie.
It's nice to meet you, Anne-Marie. I'm here to talk to you today. Tell me anything. Anything you want. Okay?
Okay. My mommy loved video games. Our house was old and it rained inside
When I first heard when I was listening to this episode and I first heard the girl's like voice, I was like, oh fuck. Because I think it would have been really easy, despite her being a revenant or a specter, have her have this kind of creepy affectation. And she does sound sad. She sounds like a sad little kid, but she just sounds like a little kid, you know? And so it's even more haunting because of that, in my opinion. And yes, we can imagine how she looks, that she's this decayed sort of abomination who's like stitched back together. Yeah, IMDb Juliana Ferreira, but I don't know how old the actress is playing her, but I was like, either way, it just sounds like a child, and it's so just heartbreaking all over again.
it rained outside. And it rained. My mommy loved video games. Our house was old and it rained inside when it rained outside. And it had a stinky bathroom and roaches under the fridge. But our bedroom was so pretty and it had a big TV and so many games. When mommy wasn't working or going to church, that's what we did. We played video games. I don't think mommy loved going to church, but she went a lot. She always cried. She went up to the altar a lot, and sometimes the preacher even, and cried for Jesus to help her. It scared me when she cried. I didn't like going to church. But after church, she came home and cooked chicken for dinner. I liked that. Mommy didn't like chicken. She said chickens were too smart to eat and also too dirty. But she made chicken anyway for me because she loves me so much. My mommy's chicken is my favorite food. I wish I had some of her chicken now. She chopped it into little pieces and fried it in her pan. It smelled so good. I don't know how to cook chicken, but I do know how to eat it. I could show you how to cook it, and you can make it for me. I'll share with you, I promise. It's so good. So, Mommy would go to church and cry and scare me, but then she would come home and make chicken and smile. And then we would eat and play video games. Mommy was good at playing, but I wasn't. I always made her lose. She pretended I played good and she played bad, but I knew better. The only time we won the games was when she secretly unplugged my controller. I always saw her unplug it, but I pretended not to. She always pretended that I won. We pretended for each other. We went to church on the day those guys came. Before we left church, she cried to the priest. He was very nice. He liked my mommy a lot. I don't think he liked me, but he liked her so much that he was nice to me. He gave me candy, then told her not to be scared. He said that God was on her side, and the policeman too. Nobody could hurt her. Anybody who said they were going to hurt her was just playing pretend. Then we went home and Mommy cooked chicken with peppers in her pan. I didn't help her cook because I'm not allowed to touch the pan.
So that's something I didn't catch. My original theory about the mother and the predicament that she's in is it is some sort of a domestic abuse situation. I don't know exactly what. It says that Mommy works and goes to church. We don't know what she does for work. The chicken thing is kind of weird. I'm like, it's cut up into little pieces. Not typically how a person would cook chicken, although maybe for a kid it is. So I don't read too much into that, but I'm like, that bit about God is on your mommy's side and the policeman's. So I think that I'm thinking that maybe the mommy's like she's like in WITSEC maybe, or it's like some sort of domestic abuse situation, and the police were supposed to protect her and maybe didn't, and so I kind of like even more that like one of the first people Baby Girls kills is this like detective, that she drives insane. So maybe that makes a little bit more sense that she's taking like obviously she doesn't know who the people are that killed her, but so she's taking it out on the people who were either supposed to protect her or that won't solve the crime or can't solve the crime. And that's that little mention of, and the policeman side, I think is kind of telling of the amount of trouble the mom was in just from the get-go of this story. It's interesting because it's already been described a little bit when the telling of how the game unfolds, but it's like there's really no perceivable reason why presumably both of these, the mom and the daughter, are killed, right? And what's weird is they stop, they kill the daughter one place, but then they take the mom away from that spot. So it's like, if you were just going to kill them both, wouldn't you just kill them in the same spot? Wouldn't you hide their bodies in the same spot? So it's very interesting, which leads me to believe that maybe the mother is alive in some way or another. And I think a great twist for this story would be that the mom was the same way she tricked her daughter or lied to her about the unplugging the controller. It's like maybe the mom, I mean, it's fucked up, but parents do kill their kids, so maybe the mom was responsible for this. Maybe she just wanted it to look like a kidnapping, and she had these guys murder her daughter, and then whatever, she could be free to do whatever the hell she wants to do. Why does any parent ever kill their child? I don't know. It makes no fucking sense. So, that's one theory that I have to kind of float out there, because it doesn't make sense to me why they're not just both killed where baby girl was killed. You know what I mean? So yeah, anyways.
Because it will burn me. I talked instead. I talked about this boy at school named Evan. Evan was a big kid, and he was really mean. He always picked on me, and I was so mad at it. She was mad too. She said, "You're not even half his size. The only reason he's picking on you is because he's a coward." I didn't know what a coward was, so I asked her, and she pointed at the pan. A coward is a chicken. That was so weird to me. I said, "But we eat chickens. Chickens taste good." Mommy said people chickens aren't for eating, and they're not tasty. People chickens are like scaredy cats, only worse. They're too scared to fight anyone who isn't a lot smaller than them. They're scared of things that shouldn't scare them. I wondered if I was a coward, because I was scared of the roaches under the fridge, and they were a lot smaller than me. But before I can ask my mommy if the roaches made me a coward, she said, "People chickens are not worth your time, baby girl. Don't worry about that boy. But if he messes with you again, you have my permission to punch his lights out." I still didn't understand about people chickens. People are people, and chickens are chickens. But it was funny to pretend about Evan being a chicken. A big, stinky chicken with a waddle. He looked so funny. He wouldn't be able to push me either, because chickens don't have arms. After that, we ate the chicken from the pan with peppers. Then we played video games. Mommy was so happy. She was always happy when we played video games. I loved playing video games with her. She always let me win. We were having so much fun. But then those guys came. They banged on the door and really scared me. They scared my mommy too. She told me to hide, but then the door broke and those guys came inside. They made us leave the house. I asked them to let me and Mommy go, but they laughed and said no. They made me get in their car. The car was stinky like puking skunks. It had a rip in the seat right by me. I saw foam inside. And a roach. I hate roaches. They're gross. They live under my fridge, and I hate them. Mommy talked to those guys for the whole ride. She kept saying I was so little. Just a baby. Just a little baby girl. And then she's saying scary stuff, like they could take her, but they had to get me out of the car. But I'm not a baby. I was scared of the road. I didn't want them to make me get out of the car by myself. I don't know the way home. The moon was scary. Almost as scary as when Mommy kept telling those guys to make me get out of the car and leave me in the road. I saw the moon shining through the window. It was looking at me. I didn't know the moon could look. I don't want it looking. Mommy still kept telling them to let me out of the car, and that made me cry harder. When I cried, the moon smiled. One of those guys told Mommy to shut up, or they would throw me out of the car while I was moving. That was so scary. One time, I scraped my knee and it hurt. If those guys threw me out of the car, I would get scraped all over and it would hurt so bad. And I'd still be alone on the road and lost because I don't know my way home. I thought Mom was mad at me.
See, that whole refrain of, I don't know my way home, it's like, again, obviously she's a child, but that whole, and like the thing she's worried about, getting scraped by the road and all that stuff. It's like normal fears for a child to have. They're not worried about the more obvious danger of these men kidnapping them. They're worried about being left alone, even though it would mean that she was left alive, right? Like if they just let her out of the car, but she doesn't want to be alone. She doesn't want to be without her mommy. And it's so heartbreaking and such good writing from Dopabeane here that like a child doesn't know the right things to worry about, so they'd worry more. They would just want to stay with their mommy, even if it means their death. And it's almost like that need, that desire is what caused them to become like a reanimated corpse or a ghost or whatever. That desire was so strong to be with mommy because I don't know the way home. Again, this sense of just being lost as a child is something that is just so haunting to me. And so like, cause I was lost as a kid, not like lost, but like I was lost in a mall, like in a, whatever sort of a thing, like very typical experience, whatever. I found my parents again. It was all fine. But those sort of childhood traumas can really stick with you because as a kid, the same way she's worried where she's like, I thought mommy was mad at me. It's like, as a kid, you don't know, you don't realize that you wandered off from your parents. You think that they left you behind. And so it's like the fact that she's saying, please let my daughter out of the car, please, blah, blah, blah. It's like, she's thinking that means her mom doesn't want to stay with her, even though her mom is just bargaining for her daughter's life, doing the only thing a parent could do in that sort of a situation is try to, is plead and hope that they would spare their child. But it's like, no, mommy, I want to be with you, why are you telling them to leave me? I don't want to be alone, God, it's such good writing, and it's so like, it just hits hard. It hits hard because I know how that feels like as a kid, wondering where your parents went, wondering, why they left you behind. Just even those short little things that can happen in the course of, 10, 20 minutes. It was probably as long as I was missing or gone or whatever. But all of that is just absolutely horrific, and it's completely non-supernatural horror, you know what I mean? It has nothing to do with the fact that she's a ghost or all this other stuff that happens later. And to me, it's like the scariest part of the story is that conundrum, and that seeing that from the child's perspective of like, I thought mommy was mad at me because she kept telling them to leave me, is just heartbreaking. So absolutely heartbreaking and terrifying. I'm gonna keep playing it. I'm gonna get up and just go grab a drink, but I'm gonna let the story keep playing. So
I thought that's why she wanted me to get out of the car and walk home by myself. because I'm so bad. And I'd still be alone on the road and lost because I don't know my way home. I thought Mommy was mad at me. I thought that's why she wanted me to get out of the car and walk home by myself. I was scared I was in trouble for crying so much. I was glad when the car stopped. Even if they made me get out of the car and walk home, Mommy would come too. Together. That's what Mommy always said. You and me, baby girl. Together forever. They made me and Mommy get out of the car. I hugged her, but those guys made me let go. They hit me really hard until I let go. Mommy was screaming and calling them names and bad words. I don't really remember those words. I don't remember bad words because I don't say them. I don't remember things I don't say. I only say what I learned, so I remember. Like Mitz Cutson says. That's my teacher. The only word Mommy called them that wasn't bad was cowards. She kept saying they were cowards. That's why I remember. Because cowards isn't a bad word. Cowards just mean chickens. But even though cowards isn't a bad word, those guys acted like it was a bad word. They got really mad and started hitting my Mommy. It made me scared. It made me cry. It made me a coward. I thought Mommy would be mad at me because they were hitting her instead of me. She wasn't mad. She didn't call me bad words, and she didn't call me a coward. She just said, don't cry, baby girl. It's okay, baby girl. It'll be over soon, baby girl. Don't be scared, baby girl. They're just chickens, baby girl. Don't be scared of chickens. Be strong, baby girl. Be brave, baby girl. I tried to be strong and brave, but I was too scared, and I cried. Those guys hit her more. They hit her so much. Her face had blood, and her eyes were really big and purple. They looked popped, even though they were closed. She didn't even look like my Mommy anymore. Looking at her scared me. I wasn't even sure it was her. But then she whispered, I love you, baby girl. And she sounded like my Mommy. That's how I knew it was her, even though she looked so scary.
And this is another part where I'm so unsure, and it's the tales of a really, or it's the signs of a really good narrative. It is fucking horrifying, Harvey. It's a great story. Again, every story in this thing is great, but this is another really good one. And it's horrifying, and it's so unclear to me because this part, it seems so genuine, and the whole idea that the mother does love the daughter, and so it makes me think that my theory is wrong, that maybe like the mother's alive, or maybe somehow she, wanted this to happen. Like that doesn't make sense. She got beaten to a pulp, so that's why I've kind of, I barely even wanted to mention that theory, but yeah, at the same time, they're beating her up so much and all the stuff, and she's like, don't cry, baby girl, it's okay, baby girl. So it seems like the mother does really love her daughter. I just don't know why they're taking the mom and then murdering the child in front of her, and then leaving the child dead, and still taking the mom. Again, I'm wondering if maybe that's because they need to like deliver her to like a boss or something. Like maybe the mother was like part of this criminal enterprise, this something like drug trafficker or something, and she ended up becoming a witness or something, and so she was being protected by the police, but then the people found her, and so rather than just kill her straight up, they're like returning her to answer for her betrayal or whatever. I don't know. That's kind of one theory to me that kind of makes sense, but I just don't know. And it is a horrifying, brutal retelling of the crime by this amazing voice actress too, that like, again, I don't know if you heard, but what I said, Harvey, was as soon as the baby girl starts talking, it would have been so easy to have it be like a creepy little child's voice, like something like, something less accessible, but this child just sounds like a sad, scared child, and so it's so haunting because of that. I'm really pleased with the choice to not make her, even though she's this creepy specter entity, to not make her sound like that, to just make her sound like a scared, sad kid, it's awesome. I love it. So good. So great.
Then those guys put her back in the car. I tried to get in too, because I didn't want them. Then those guys her, even though she looked so scary. Then those guys put her back in the car. I tried to get in too, because I didn't want them to forget me. I didn't want to be left outside in the dark. I don't know my way home. Those guys laughed at me when I tried to sit in the car by my mommy. They made me get out. I cried. My mommy cried too. She tried to get up, but she couldn't. They hurt her too much. That's why she couldn't get up anymore. Then those guys showed me their guns, and I got killed. There was a bullet, and it burned really bad, and I fell down. I couldn't get up either, just like my mommy. We couldn't get back up together. Those guys turned me into pieces.
See, I love that touch of like, because it's a child describing being shot and murdered, right? And so rather than just being like, the bullet struck my whatever, it's just like, they showed me their guns and then I got shot. The bullet burned really bad. It's like as a child, and yes, bullets are hot, and I'm sure they do burn when you feel getting shot. But to a child, it's like that's the only, they maybe haven't experienced a lot of pain or a lot of like real pain like that. And so the only thing they can associate it with is like the burn of like a pan on the stove or something. So I love that she uses the word burn. It's such a nice touch, and that she says like, they showed me their guns like that, because that's what a kid does. They're used to being shown things, shown toys, shown, So rather than like they pulled their guns and they, shot, rather than describing it like, like she's a detective or something else or has some sort of knowledge. No, she's just a scared kid who doesn't know their way home. And so she's like, they showed me their guns and then I got shot. The bullet burned real bad. So such great writing from Dopabeane and such a great performance. I cannot overstate that enough. Yeah, let's continue. I'll try not to pause too much more, but because we're really kind of in the thick of the story now. But I think it's worth mentioning, this is how you write for a young character, like younger aged. Not every character needs to sound like this young, even if they are young. But I think it works so well in this story to show the innocence of the baby girl entity. It's just really poignant,
Pieces after I couldn't get up. Pieces like a cup together. I couldn't get up either, just like my mommy. We couldn't get back up together. Those guys turned me into pieces after I couldn't get up. Pieces like a chicken. Only I don't have wings. I have arms, because I'm not really a chicken. After they turned me into pieces, they drove away with my mommy and left me in the dark. They didn't come back, even though I don't know my way home. I couldn't get up. I was so scared. I was alone, and I couldn't get up. And my mommy was gone with those guys. We weren't together because those guys left me and took her in their car. I wish they let me in the car so Mommy and I could be together forever. But instead, she was far away in the car with those guys, and I was chopped up in pieces like a chicken in the park, far away. I waited for my mommy to come back and help me get up, or even for those guys to come back.
See, she mentions that she's chopped up like a chicken, and obviously, like, that's sad, but that's almost like, to say it like that is, it's almost like she's breezing past that. And the part that really bothers her is that she's far away from her mommy, and she's not with her. And her mommy was left with the men in the car, you know. It's very clear that to this child, to this entity, that's what matters the most, is that uh they were separated, you know. Not that she was killed, not that she was cut up into pieces like a chicken, like, you know, it's that she's far away from mommy. So haunting. So
They forgot me, and so did my mommy. I thought about mommy a lot. They forgot to come back and help me get up, or even for those guys to come back. But they forgot me, and so did my mommy. I thought about mommy a lot. I pretended she didn't forget me. I pretended she was there and that we were eating chicken. The chicken she cooked in her pan with peppers. I pretended we were playing video games. I pretended she didn't have to let me win. I pretended I was so good at playing video games, and I pretended we both won every game. I pretended for a long time. So long I think I missed Christmas and even my birthday. That was okay, because pretending was better than being alone in pieces in the park. Then I got tired of pretending. I got up all by myself, and I got up and I left my pieces in the ground because they were scary. I didn't want to take them with me. I took a step, just one step, and I wasn't even in the park anymore. I was inside a living room. It wasn't my living room, but my mommy's games were there. All the games we played together, plus the grown-up games I wasn't supposed to play. I even saw a new game called Baby Girl. That's what my mommy always called me, Baby Girl. I thought maybe mommy made a game just for me, and that's why she forgot to come back and get me. Because she was too busy making my game and moving out of our old house and into this new house. Since her games were there, I thought she was there too. So I looked for her. Only, I didn't find her. Not in the living room, or the bathroom, or the kitchen. I didn't even see her in the bedroom. She wasn't anywhere. So I thought she was at work, or at church, or maybe at the store to buy chicken. I sat down and looked at her games and waited for her to come home. But she didn't come home. Those guys came home. The one who put her in the car and turned me into pieces like a chicken. Those guys. I was so scared, but I was even more mad. Those guys drove my mommy away and left me and made her forget about me. And then they stole her games. They stole all.
See, yeah, and I forgot that touch too. So she does know who the guys are, or the very first instance of her reconstituting is she was connected. She was literally haunting it was the exact games that her mom used to play. And these guys happened to just take those games and be like, we're gonna, you know, we just killed a mother and a daughter. We're not gonna let we're not gonna let Donkey Kong go to waste, you know, or whatever. Which again is just so callous and haunting too. And it's like, you're gonna keep, like, because that is technically evidence of the murder, right? That is evidence of them killing her. Like, if they could trace the serial numbers on a specific game or console or whatever to that the mother owned that, and then these guys somehow had that is evidence. But they don't care about that. They're just like, I want to play fucking Mario Kart, bro, you know. And so that is just so horrifying. And then that's what allows her to, I mean, like it said, she reconstitutes on her own. She gets up by herself because she was tired of pretending, which, chef's kiss, so good. I love the idea of a kid just pretending in the afterlife and, you know, trying to just, you know, not think about how sad or miserable they are and just pretending that everything's okay, and then eventually getting sick of it. And who knows, it might have been years. You know, she says, I think I missed Christmas and my birthday, but I'm assuming that it was probably even longer. And then she winds up at a new house where the guys are who killed her and her mom, but still have the video games, and I'm assuming even the console. And then this new game just appears. And that's another haunting thing, is like, you have a collection of video games, you know, or like even a book collection or something like that. It's like, oh, all of a sudden this new game could just appear, and I'm talking about in the new instances of it where people didn't kill her. It's like she's able to just haunt any collection of video games that people have in their home. Like all of a sudden this new game, this new disc appears, this new case, you know, with a disc in it, you know, and that just so terrifying.
My mommy's video games. That made me so mad I forgot to be scared. That made me so mad that I yelled at them. I thought they would laugh at me for yelling, or maybe get mad and hit me again. But I didn't even care because I was just so mad. I was so mad it scared them. I scared them so much it was so funny. They screamed when I yelled at them, but they tried to run away. But I didn't let them go. One of those guys even peed his pants. It was funny. They kept crying and they kept asking me to let them go. But that made me really mad again. It was so not fair. When I asked them to let me and my mommy go, they told me no. When I tried to get in the car so I could be together with my mommy, they laughed and turned me into pieces, just like a chicken. I'm not a chicken. They laughed and turned me into pieces, just like a chicken. I'm not a chicken. I'm not a coward. Those guys were being cowards. They cried and screamed and they peed their pants and they tried to run away from me. Me, just a little kid, just a little baby girl, not even half their size. Those guys were scared anyway. They were cowards, and that means they're chickens. I don't know how to cook chickens, but I do know how to eat them. They didn't taste good. I guess because Mommy didn't cook them. But I can show you how to cook chicken just like Mommy did. It won't taste as good as hers, but I'll pretend.
Oh, God. It's so cool because, like, in a typical, like, I ate them sort of a thing, you would be like, yeah, oh, creepy. But hearing it in this little innocent girl's perspective is like, it's badass, it's haunting, it's just all the things. It's so, it makes me so like happy for the character, happy for baby girl that she gets some sort of revenge. And then the whole idea that she's like, I ate them like a chicken. They didn't taste good. You know, I can show you how to make chicken, but it won't taste as good as Mommy's. Like all these lines that before were just so innocent and kind of cute when she's describing like having dinner and stuff with her mom are just now completely reframed and turned into these like just menacing, you know, quips that are like, oh, it's fucking awesome.
But I'll pretend.
Rochelle, that was amazing. Congratulations.
For what?
For making baby girl talk.
You're welcome, but that's my job?
You don't understand. That's the only full conversation she's ever had. With anyone. Ever. She's literally never talked to anyone before. You're the first. And if anyone asks, you didn't hear it from me, but administration is thrilled with you. This is a success, a monumental success.
Does the success cancel out the part where I let that one serial killer escape?
No, but... Wait, where are you going?
To my quarters?
No, you're not. You're going to dinner.
But I thought I'm not allowed to leave the facility.
You're not.
Then how can I go to dinner?
Because we bring the dinner to you. Follow me.
Why would I follow you if you're bringing the dinner to me?
We bring the dinner to the facility, but you still have to go to the cafeteria to get it. Hurry, it's going to get cold.
What if I don't feel like dinner right now?
Well, see, it's not exactly optional.
Why?
Because we're celebrating you and your success. There is a small catch, though.
What?
Well, see, these dinners are what the agency uses to reward all high-performing T-class inmates. We reward you all together to foster a collaborative, teamwork-oriented environment, which means you're not eating alone tonight.
Who am I eating with, Charlie?
You've already met him, so that's something, but I suggest you keep your voice recorder on. Just have a record in case... well, in case.
In case what? Who is it?
It's... Christoph.
He is not the guy who scared the shit out of me the other night, right?
Yeah, so if you just go right through here...
Charlie...
Step inside and take a seat. You don't want the food to get cold, trust me.
Why don't you come eat with us? To foster, team building, yeah? I mean, you are my supervisor, Charlie, so you really should...
I appreciate the invite, but, no. Right through here. Come on. Don't forget to come see me afterward, and enjoy your dinner. It's Kentucky Fried Chicken.
So, we get to have a little talk after all. Good. I like this kind of talking better. It's more... intimate, no?
I wouldn't say that.
You're afraid of me? In that case, why don't you just run back to Charlie, huh?
Because I'm sick of Charlie. So, do I have you to thank for the menu?
Do I look like I have no taste? No. I thought they ordered it for you. Yeah. I saved some for you.
Thanks.
What are you waiting for? Take your seat, Rachel.
And it is, I realized too that it's funny now they're eating KFC chicken. So to anyone who doesn't know, Christoph is an entity in the facility who he's T-class, so he helps. He's cooperative. He helps the agency, but he is the big bad wolf. And Christoph is a reoccurring character. We've seen him a little bit. This is the first time Agent Beans actually sat down for a chat with him. And all we really know about him in terms of his powers is that he's a tracker. He can smell the entities and stuff like that. Obviously, with the big bad wolf story, it's like, oh, what big eyes you have, so I'm wondering if he has like some sort of shape-shifting abilities too. I'm not sure, but he is in the form of just a anthropomorphized talking wolf from what I can surmise about it. It's not fully described because the story, especially the parts that take place in the prison, and I really like this because it allows your imagination to run wild. It's like it'll give you a description of the entity, but just as often it won't like describe a character, and it'll just kind of allude to the fact that like Rochelle's scared of him. He's a giant wolf dog creature, stuff like that. It might talk about his teeth or something else, but the story doesn't pause to what's the word? I don't know, provide like narration, or it's not exposition. It's just, it's not like as I sat down with Christoph, I could see the hair on his back. It literally is just a log of their conversation, and so it allows you to kind of fill in and imagine how he looks yourself. And I just, I really like that touch because it keeps the plot moving forward so well. And now we get Agent Bean eating KFC with the big bad wolf, which is just a crazy turn for this episode to take. And I love with how somber and fucked up the beginning was, that now it just throws us in this left turn of like, now we're eating KFC with the big bad wolf. Hooray. Only in a series like this could these two things exist in the same story.
Not so afraid of the big bad wolf after all, huh?
Why do you call yourself that?
What? The big bad wolf?
Yeah, I see where the big comes from, I guess, but not the wolf part.
That's because you don't know me yet. And, the big bad wolf, it's my inmate moniker. We all have one. Even you.
Really? What's mine?
The narc.
For real.
Don't look at me. Charlie gave it to you.
Of course he did. God. I love Charlie.
You know, I wrote you off after our last meeting. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe you are man enough to be my girl after all.
That is one hell of a pickup line. Probably not in the way you want.
I admit, it's never worked.
Yeah, how many times have you tried it?
Well, only this once. Narc. Do you want to know something? I do not really want to talk to you.
Likewise.
You force the other inmates to talk. But I am not like the other inmates. You should not be forcing me to do anything.
I don't disagree.
I hate people who force me to do things.
I hear you.
Then hear this. I hate the way you smell.
How do I smell?
Like cheap lipstick and expensive chocolate.
Well, you have a spectacular nose.
I do, don't I? My name is Christoph.
I know.
Oh? You were, so scared when we first met. I did not think you would remember.
To the contrary, it's not something I'll ever forget. Here, you like cookies?
Who doesn't?
And here, take mine.
I will not lie to you. This agency is not a good place. But you can make it good for you if we do not fight them.
Don't worry. I'm definitely not a fighter.
That is the first lie you've told me. I hope it is the last.
Yeah? What happens if it's not?
You will not like my answer.
Why do you think that?
I don't think anything. I know my answer would scare you. It would scare you worse than anything that the Harlequin can say to you.
What's the Harlequin?
You don't know who the Harlequin is?
No.
Read your handbook and you will find out.
Right. So, you're an inmate?
We, just like you. Now, you tell me, how did someone like you become an inmate here?
I am actually not sure I'm allowed to tell you.
Are you trying to get out of talking with the big bad wolf?
No, it's just that it involved national security.
National security. Over the years, I have heard many people say they are involved in national security, or they are agents or spies, or the government is after them. Every last one of these people is crazy. Are you crazy, Rachel?
Not yet. What about you? What are you in for?
Killing. What else?
That's not very funny.
I wasn't joking.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Like what?
Like I'm some sort of fucking monster.
I'm not looking at you like you're anything.
Oh, you are.
Christoph? What are you doing?
What I have to.
What are you... God, are those pliers?
Yes.
Christoph, I'm going to leave now.
No. You're going to run away. But you need not run from me now. These are not for you. They are for me.
Why?
So that when I am forced to speak with you again, you will remember that the big bad wolf hates his teeth. Even when they grow back, even though they always grow back. I hate them. I hate them.
Kristoff, just put those down. It's okay. Everything is okay. Just set them down.
I can't.
Why?
Because wolves with teeth don't go to heaven.
Kristoff, don't. Don't, Kristoff. Oh my god. Hello, Charlie.
Rochelle.
Wolves with teeth don't go to heaven is so it's interesting way to end the conversation. Kristoff's an interesting character for a lot of reasons, but he has like some sort of a self-hatred. It's why I think he even calls himself the big bad wolf. The whole part where she's like, I don't get the wolf part. Maybe he is more human than I remember, than what I'm thinking. I'm not sure, but then the whole idea that he's going to tear out his teeth because wolves with teeth don't go to heaven, you know, it's very interesting because, like, it's not even the first character. Numa, his teeth would regrow as well. So it's not the first, like, instance of this in the Pantheon or whatever, but I find it funny that Kristoff, like, I don't know, hates his teeth, or maybe, you know, maybe wants to, I'm wondering if he's trying to make himself look more human. Maybe his mouth is like a big, you know, so maybe he hates that aspect of himself. Maybe that's like where the fairy tale comes from of the big bad wolf, where he like tries to become the grandmother, you know, or whatever. Yeah, it's just, I'm really curious to know Kristoff's backstory within the context of the North American Pantheon. I'm sure we will get it at some point, but maybe not until later on in the series. Like, I don't know how far in it, but I'm very curious to know like where the overlap is with like the classic fairy tales and what is changed. Because yeah, I maybe get the sense that he, like a lot of these characters, did something bad for a good reason, and now he kind of like punishes himself because of it. But yeah, so such an interesting kind of first full interaction that we get with him. The fact that he ends it by ripping out his teeth is just awesome.
Oh, come in. Wow, it's been over an hour. That's the longest any woman has lasted with Kristoff in, well, ever. So, how did it go?
He pulled his teeth out, Charlie, with pliers that he was carrying around in his pocket.
Yes, he does that sometimes. It's disturbing, but the teeth always grow back.
Why did he... Did you know he was going to do that?
I knew there was a chance. Look, I know it's frightening, but it's normal behavior for him. Self-harm is something Kristoff does when he experiences feelings that he finds difficult to process, and his favorite method of self-harm is pulling his teeth out.
What kind of feelings does he find difficult to process?
Shame, mostly. Guilt, frequently. Attraction, occasionally. But I don't think that was the issue tonight. No offense.
Okay, good. Good.
Look, I know you're upset.
I'm all right.
No, you're not. Of course you're not. And that's understandable, because Kristoff is intense, but don't hold it against him. He's a very complicated individual, and he has a hard time relating to women. Believe it or not, his behavior towards you was very promising. I'd go so far as to say it was as much of a breakthrough as baby girl. You should be proud.
Yeah, I'm real proud, Charlie. He told me he hates his teeth. Do you know why?
I do, and you'll know too after you interview him. Speaking of which, you were scheduled to interview him next. Of course, now we have to wait for his teeth to grow back, or we won't understand a word he says.
You're still gonna make me interview him?
Yes, and if tonight is anything to go by, it'll go great.
Respectfully, have you heard a single word I said?
I did. Look, I know you can't see it right now because you don't know Christoph, but I do. I know him better than anyone, so trust me. You did a great job. So great, in fact, that the two of you could end up friends someday.
Okay. Can I go?
Sure. Have a good night, Rochelle. And seriously, great work today. Great work all around.
Oh, wait. I don't know what to do with...
With what?
With these.
Are those teeth?
Yes. They're Christoph's. After he pulled them out, he dropped them on me.
Really?
Yup. Right in my lap.
Huh. Did you ask him to do that?
What?
You know what? Stupid question. Don't worry, I'll take care of it.
Thanks.
No, thank you. You're going to be a wonderful asset to the agency, and perhaps more importantly, to Christoph and all your other colleagues. I can already feel it.
Thanks for your confidence. Can I ask one last question?
Of course.
What's the Harlequin?
I don't have time to answer that question in full, but long story short, he's the most dangerous inmate in the history of the agency.
Oh. I'm gonna have to interview him too, right?
Absolutely. Well, assuming we ever... You know what? Not important. Don't worry about the Harlequin right now. You just worry about your job and reading that handbook and building rapport with Christoph, of course.
Of course.
Well, if that's all, I guess this is good night.
Yeah. Good night.
All right. So that is Baby Girl. I kind of just want to jump right into the Harlequin because it is an hour long. But I will say briefly that I don't think, like any of these stories or any of these characters, I don't think the story is completely done yet. I do hope that Baby Girl gets some sort of a resolution. And again, I'm completely torn on, I don't know why the killers would separate Baby Girl from the mother, kill Baby Girl, and then leave the mother alive but beaten to a pulp and take her to a secondary location. There's clearly something we're missing. And then I also don't know why Baby Girl, if she reconstituted with the guys because they had her and her mom's games, it seemed like she would have had the perfect opportunity to like interrogate them, and maybe she was just too angry, you know, as a child to get any sort of an answers out of them. But I'm kind of like, you know, I'm like, could there be a twist where it's like maybe she does know where her mom is? Maybe she's just scared to be reunited. Be like, maybe the guys told her, you know, something like that. And that could be where the story's going. I don't know, but I do think that I'm like, the fact that the first time she came back, or you know, with the game and all that stuff, because they didn't play the game. It sounded like she just appeared and killed them. And so if that's the case, yeah, like missed opportunity there, obviously. But then I'm kind of wondering, I'm like, so can she just appear places if she wants to bad enough? You know, like, does somebody even have to play the game? I don't know. I'm a little unclear on the rules now regarding her coming into being and then like teleporting out of her cell and then back to her cell. Very interesting. But yeah, so I hope we get resolution to baby girl. And maybe it is just that they find the mom's corpse, and then whether or not that completely kills baby girl or just neutralizes her or whatever. I even if it's just a small resolution like that, I hope that they get it. And even if it's not fully explained why they took the mom to a different place, I'm like, I still want that resolution for that character, because I feel so bad for her, and I just empathize so much with like a child being brutalized like that, and then thinking that their mom forgot her is just so heartbreaking. And so I hope that there's some resolution there. But anyways, the Harlequin, let's do it. Yeah.
On April 7th, 1909, an antiquities excavation crew in Caerleon, Newport, South Wales, vanished in a tunnel below the ruins of the Isca Augusta. The details surrounding their fates remain unknown. What is known is that their corpses were discovered 4 days later, mutilated, fully disarticulated, and rearranged in a spectacularly disturbing tableau just past the mouth of the tunnel. This was not the first such tableau, nor the last, and certainly not the worst. But it led to the identification and eventual capture of the most dangerous entity known to the Agency of Helping Hands, the Harlequin. If our work at the Agency of Helping Hands demonstrates any truth with utter certainty, it is that the nature of reality is inconstant. Our senses.
And my take on the Harlequin, here, I guess I could Google like an image of the Harlequin or Harlequin. I'm sure. Oh yeah, I definitely spelled that super wrong. Yeah, it's like an old mask, kind of a clown, right? From like servant characters from Italian Commedia dell'arte. Checkered costume, role that is lighthearted, nimble, and astute servant, often acting to thwart the plans of his master and pursuing his own love interest. Interesting. Later develops into a prototype of the romantic hero. So yeah, it's based somewhat on this, but then I also think it's kind of the same. You have the character like Stephen King's It, where it's like a clown, but it shapeshifts, and it's also like any type of thing that you fear. The Harlequin kind of seems like that. I'm not saying that it's like ripped off from it or anything like that. I'm just saying that there seems to be a correlation and inspiration. And it's very interesting that there's kind of this entity that like the Pantheon is kind of like almost subservient to, it seems like. So it kind of leads me to believe that like how many other entities have completely run roughshod over the Pantheon, or does the Pantheon of help or the Agency of Helping Hands actually serve maybe multiple entities? Like, we don't know. The Harlequins just want the one that is kind of brought up initially to be like, it's all powerful, it can do whatever it wants, it's the most dangerous. But that's the one that they mention. What ones are they not mentioning is kind of my my question. But yeah, it's interesting character for sure, and I like the way that it's not just like, well, it's a clown that, you know, can be your worst nightmare. You know, it doesn't straight up do like the It thing, which obviously Stephen King, you know, he created that character so he could like do what he wants with it. He created that mold, right, for that sort of creepy clown entity sort of a thing. The It, so to speak. But what I like about the Harlequin is that it does seem to lean more heavily into the like trickster slash like it's evil, it kills people, but it also cares a lot about just like fucking with people or entertaining in that sort of a way, to where you don't know quite what its motives are, whereas like the It monster just very clearly wants to kill you, wants to scare you to death, wants to like feed off your fear, right? And that's kind of how it ultimately gets destroyed, is like people can overcome their fears and you know, like rise up against it, right? Whereas the Harlequin, the rules don't seem so like linear or so black and white. It's much more chaotic. It's like a true, you know how there's that, maybe not saying, but there's that whole idea in some like theological or like mythical circles that like demons aren't evil, they're just beings of pure chaos. So they don't want it's not that they want the world to it's not that they want to destroy the world and kill everyone in it. They just want to breed chaos. They want the dissolution of order, you know. Anytime anything tries to be controlled or sort of understood, they want to break out of that mold, you know. And so I feel like the Harlequin's a much more like representation of that sort of like a demon, when you think about a demon that way. It's an extra reality, you know, exist in multiple realities sort of being that just kind of breeds chaos. Very interesting depiction of a character that we've seen, and that's why I bring up it. It's because it's like we've seen similar iterations of this character in other ways, but I think like this story, this version of it, does a really good job of like staying true to like the actual like definition of like what a being of chaos would technically be. You know, yes, it'll kill people, yes, it'll do horrible things, but it'll also do a lot of just weird things, you know, things that aren't good or bad, that are just kind of neutral, you know.
Is lie to us. They muffle, omit, and deceive to prop up the absurd house of cards that comprises the foundation of our limited perception, which conceals the terrible truth that reality itself is porous. Worse, it is malleable. Worst of all, it's a trap. And like unwitting ants stumbling into a glue trap, so does our reality trap us. This is simply the way of things. Our trap was made for us, and we are made for our trap. Problems only arise when things that are not like us, things that do not belong here, slide into our trap alongside us. No entity demonstrates the nature of this particular complication so thoroughly or so dramatically as the Harlequin. The existence of the Harlequin has been known to the Agency of Helping Hands since the organization's inception, but due to a preponderance of fables, legends, and false information, the Harlequin evaded detection for nearly 100 years. Then, as now, the Harlequin is an enigma. As of this writing, the agency doesn't know where it comes from, what its motives or goals are, or even what it is. In fact, the only information the agency has about the Harlequin is the information it volunteers. By its own admission, the Harlequin's favorite activity is upsetting children. As a shapeshifter of the highest order, he taunts them by taking on various forms including a monster, a spider, a werewolf, a clown, a mime, a king, and a dog with the face of an old man. He has repeatedly stated that his favorite place is California because, in his own words, California is the capital of the show. This entity has murdered entire families for no apparent reason, returned to mutilate victims it has already terrorized, and, perhaps most problematically, been observed attempting to lure minors and developmentally disabled adults to a place it calls the City Bright. The Harlequin has never divulged the meaning or location of the City Bright. While the agency knows that it is a place the Harlequin takes his victims, we have no idea where it is, or what its purpose is. We do know that of the numerous victims the Harlequin successfully abducted to the City Bright before agency personnel could intervene, only 3 have been located. And due to the sheer scope of damage inflicted on these individuals by the Harlequin's interference, all 3 are currently incarcerated at the Pantheon. The first of these is Inmate 8, called Pantomime. The second is Inmate 10, called Piero. The third is Inmate 13, called Pierrette. Please note that the agency has, with great difficulty, obtained minimal information about the City Bright from these 3 inmates over the years. And while the Harlequin somewhat understands why Pantomime, Piero, and Pierrette felt compelled to freely offer information to their captors, he nevertheless expresses deep, ongoing disappointment in their profound betrayal. Unfortunately, the information provided by Pantomime, Piero, and Pierrette is scant indeed. While it suggests that the Harlequin's actions serve a much larger purpose, perhaps one beyond the scope of human understanding, we still have no idea what that purpose is. The Harlequin itself is far from forthcoming in this matter. For example, whenever it is asked why it commits these abductions, its only answer is to prepare. There is a particularly grim silver lining to the Harlequin's abductions in that he usually disappears his victims from the memory of those who knew them, resulting in startlingly few complications for the agency. The major issue with his talent for unexisting is, of course, the question of the people, places, things, and events he has potentially unexisted outside the scope of the agency's ability to detect it. For this reason, among many others, the Harlequin is considered the agency's most dangerous inmate. As previously stated, the Harlequin was accidentally discovered in April 1909 in South Wales. He was living in a tunnel below the ruins of the Isca Augusta, and although the Harlequin was not discovered on U.S. soil, the United States did not want a foreign government to capture it due to concerns over the potential power such a being might bestow upon its captors.
And so you see already that the parallels I'm drawing between, like, the It character are definitely there. You know, it lives in the tunnels. It can take the shape of a mime or a clown, and also a werewolf and all this other stuff. It's clear to me that there is the parallel there. But then this whole idea of what has it unexisted from reality, what has it erased, you know? And that's why the agency, even though they can't control it, the agency is like, well, we can't let another government even talk to this entity because, you know, the repercussions are just too great. It just, again, kind of funny. It's, you know, it's like, well, you know, no one should have nukes, but we're going to have a nuke, you know. It's again, it's, you know, the whole idea of like an arms race, and in the idea of this entity as a weapon, even though they can't use it as one or even control it. It's just very fun. I'm also very curious, and I know we get a little bit more information, but like Pantomime, Puro, and Purette, because they're inmates too, so you have to assume that they have, in addition to the agency just wanting to talk to them to learn about the Harlequin, I think it did bestow some sort of powers on them, or perhaps going to this place called the City Bright, which I assume is its own like pocket dimension place, perhaps in California, because he says California is where the show happens. I'm wondering if just the fact of entering this like pocket dimension, this City Bright, as the Harlequin calls it, just already makes the way you interact with reality different, in other words. So it gives you some sort of power, ability, but also like disability in the terms of, maybe you're not going to be able to talk anymore, or you can't ever see things the same way as you did before. So yeah, it takes a toll too, which I find very, very interesting. Right. And I feel like even in it too, there is something about like, I mean, because there's so much stuff, because Stephen King, like all his literary works are connected. So there is a lot of like the Harlequin is technically this alien, or not the Harlequin, it is technically this like alien monster that, was fought, or was like an egg from some other story that hatched and became this thing, but I thought there was a mention too, in maybe I just need to watch the It movies again, or I could talk to my brother. He's a huge Stephen King fan, and he's read It multiple times, and so maybe I could ask him if there's like a dimension that it takes people to, or that like a City Bright equivalent in that story, because I'm curious to learn more about the Harlequin in this, as well as Stephen King's It, and draw more parallels, and then also perhaps learn more about the iteration of it in this story from, It. Yeah, so, but, yeah, very, very interesting, like, and like I said, like a being of pure chaos, wants to make children cry. So obviously the fear, misery sort of a thing, but then it also wants to lure developmentally disabled adults and children to the City Bright and all this other just creepy shit, So it's very fucked up. It's definitely, like I would say, like there's chaotic good and then there's chaotic bad, or what. It's definitely chaotic bad, but it also is just so weird, as we'll see. We'll keep getting instances of it just being weird and like kind of obscene in a weird way,
For this reason, the agency made capture and containment of the Harlequin its primary goal for many years. However, due to the agency's complete lack of experience with entities like the Harlequin, capture was not achieved until April 7th, 1926. The entity was captured while wearing a filthy and immense leather cloak with a patched motley pattern. Testing later determined that the leather was human skin, and that each patch of motley was made of flesh from a distinct human individual. Testing was halted approximately 6 weeks later during the Harlequin's first containment breach. Although the cloak remained in agency custody for the duration of the entity's escape, new motley patches appeared along the edges of the cloak at a rate of approximately 4 per week until the Harlequin was reapprehended some months later. Upon its recapture, personnel asked the Harlequin how it had obtained the new patches of skin and integrated them into the cloak during its absence. The Harlequin responded, by filling the holes. To this day, this nonsensical answer is not understood, which is appropriate given that very little about the Harlequin is understood, or has been from the beginning. This terminal lack of knowledge began at the literal moment of containment when the Harlequin, freshly in agency custody before the shackles upon its wrists had even been secured, introduced himself as your servant Arlecchino. Over the course of the preposterously unproductive conversation that followed, the Harlequin gave 3 other names for itself: Heliquin, Zani, and Herla-Kinning. When called upon to explain these naming discrepancies, the entity stated that it in fact had no name and was nothing but a faithful servant. When asked who it served, the Harlequin answered, that which must be served. When asked what must be served, its nonsensical answer was, 4 in 7, just as you worms, 4 in 7. Agency personnel immediately...
See, so interesting. I'm so curious to know what all this means. But it was Heliquin, Zani, and then what was the last? Because I wanna look up that last name specifically.
Must be served. The but AFT stated that it in fact had no name and was nothing. The Kinning. When called upon to explain these naming descriptions, and Herla-Kinning.
And Herla-Kinning. Yeah, you can't copy, okay. Grlek. Herla-Kinning. Refers to a demonic leader of the Wild Hunt, which ultimately evolved into colorful, acrobatic Harlequin. Ghostly troop of damned souls wandering the night. Ah, Herla-Kinning. Okay. King Herla. the wild host or troop of demon horsemen riding by night, which is plausibly referred to as Herlakiningi. King Herla, who's by those of Woden. I just don't know what Woden is either, but we'll keep listening and then I'll keep researching as it plays. But
When called upon to explain these naming discrepancies, the entity stated that it in fact had no name and was nothing but a faithful servant. When asked who it served, the Harlequin answered, "That which must be served." When asked what must be served, its nonsensical answer was, 4 in 7, just as you worms, 4 in 7. Agency personnel immediately proceeded to research the names provided by the Harlequin, but it quickly became clear that the entity was playing a joke of some kind. Arlecchino, Heliquin, Zanni, and Herlakinning are all terms related to the figure of Harlequin, a stock character that frequently appears in Italian commedia dell'arte plays. Agency administration believe that the entity's use of these names is significant and holds clues as to the Harlequin's purpose and motives, a view bolstered by the fact that the Harlequin was located in the ruins of an ancient Roman theater. Nevertheless, no meaningful ties have been discovered as of this writing. Due to the commedia dell'arte references, the motley cloak in which it was discovered, and the delightful sense of humor it so clearly possessed, agency personnel christened the entity the Harlequin. The Harlequin has been in the custody of the Agency of Helping Hands ever since. Unfortunately, containment has not stopped him. And, as the agency quickly learned, the Harlequin's extracurricular activities do not stop at the terrorizing, abduction, and permanent vanishing of random human beings. For example, during its frequent containment breaches, the Harlequin creates holes and ports in what can only be termed the fabric of existence and changes reality in ways almost no one can detect. In one such instance, he unexisted an entire town. In another, he vanished a popular film franchise from existence because, in his own words, it was so objectively terrible that simply knowing it existed was intolerable. During yet another escape, he performed an action he described as momentarily unzipping reality, which allowed an as yet unapprehended entity to slip into our world. The whereabouts of this second entity are currently unknown. It must be noted that locating the Harlequin during his containment breaches verges on impossible for many reasons, one of which is the fact that he possesses myriad physical forms due to an extraordinary talent for shape-shifting. However, the Harlequin does appear to vastly prefer two forms above all others, particularly when in custody. The first form is what agency personnel believe to be its preferred form, which is that of an adult human male. The second form is what is believed to be its true form. No one has ever seen this form in its entirety because the Harlequin only assumes it, or perhaps more accurately, reverts to it when safely concealed by his motley patterned human leather cloak. The Harlequin has been known to spend weeks at a time safely hidden under his cloak. Agency personnel have, of course, attempted to learn why, to no avail. Whenever the entity is asked to provide a reason, he simply states, "to hide the scars." As of this writing, he has not explained what this statement means. Although its cloak hides most of its true form from view, agency personnel have determined that the Harlequin is unusually large, roughly the height of a particularly well-nourished polar bear. What kind of measurement is that? Agency personnel have determined that the Harlequin is unusually large, roughly the height of a particularly well-nourished polar bear, almost certainly with bodily proportions that would appear mostly human were they not so absurdly ideal. What? Please note, however, that the above information pertaining to the Harlequin's physical appearance is only supposition. This is because the only part of the Harlequin's body that the cloak does not conceal is its jaws, which protrude in a manner best described as lupine. Based on observations, the Harlequin's jaws are approximately 11 inches in length and covered in puffy, suppurating flesh that appears blistered and scarred in a manner consistent with severe burns. The cause of these injuries is unknown, as is the reason behind their inability to heal. While in this form, the Harlequin possesses 3 rows of teeth. The largest and most prominent row somewhat resemble crocodile teeth. The inner rows are much smaller and sharper, and bear a strong resemblance to coyote teeth. As previously mentioned, the Harlequin breaches containment on a regular basis, and during these escapes, it leaves behind its cloak, which continues to expand in its absence. As a protean entity, the Harlequin is capable of assuming various appearances at will. However, it clearly favors certain appearances over others. This was also previously mentioned, but bears repeating. For example, whenever agency personnel finally locate the Harlequin after a containment breach, he invariably takes the form of a human male with red hair and blue eyes. While superficially normal, this body often induces a severe and clinically significant form of what is popularly referred to as the uncanny valley effect. The Harlequin is obviously aware of this and takes great pleasure in subtly changing the proportions of its face and body until it inflicts maximum psychological distress on its captors. Typically, the Harlequin maintains this physically superior body until it re-enters its cell, at which point it crawls under its cloak to assume its true form. As of this writing, no agency personnel have seen the Harlequin in its true form without its cloak. The final piece of Harlequin-related knowledge that the Agency of Helping Hands possesses, thanks entirely to a recent disclosure by the Harlequin itself, involves the entity's familial bonds. Immediately prior to his latest containment breach, the Harlequin claimed that it possesses 6 children. It stated that 3 of these children are other inmates currently incarcerated at the Pantheon. According to the Harlequin, the inmates in question are the following: Inmate 8, Pantomime, Inmate 10, Pierrot, and Inmate 13, Pierrette. Please note that these inmates are the only known survivors of the Harlequin's mysterious City Bright. Note also that the agency's most unsatisfactory investigative efforts have yielded no actual biological connection between the Harlequin and these inmates. To the best of the agency's knowledge, the Harlequin has simply claimed that the aforementioned inmates are its children. The reasons for this are not known to the agency, although anyone with even a minimally functioning brain can easily determine that the Harlequin's reasons for claiming these inmates as his children include a vast well of empathy for those less fortunate than himself. Okay. The above statements comprise the sum total of the information the agency has gathered in the century since the entity's capture. None of this information includes how to truly contain or even neutralize it. And in simplest terms, we don't know how to change that. The Harlequin is uncontrollable, indestructible, and effectively uncontainable, for while the agency maintains a cell for him, he routinely escapes at will. As such, agency officials, brilliant minds as they are, suspect he is only incarcerated at the Agency of Helping Hands because he wants to be. The reasons for this are too terrifying to contemplate. Even more terrifying is the fact that the Harlequin clearly does not want to be incarcerated at this time. He breached containment 4 months ago, and as of this writing, he has not been caught. It is his longest containment breach to date. Currently, the agency's planned course of action is to arrange for T-Class Agent Rochelle Bean to interview the Harlequin immediately upon his recapture in the hopes of obtaining information that will help the agency contain the entity permanently, and in doing so vastly reduce the critical threat he poses to humanity, the world, and reality itself. Until then, the agency has no idea what to do, which is par for the course, but no less distressing for it. Who the hell wrote this?
Charlie wrote the original, but the Harlequins added some improvements over the years.
What?
Yeah, he likes to rewrite inmate files sometimes to make them more entertaining. His own files mostly, but other ones too.
Wait. Did you just say the Harlequin rewrites inmate files?
That's exactly what I said.
And you just let him?
It's not like we can stop him.
Well, how do you even know which inmate records are accurate?
Because he doesn't usually mess with the major stuff. He just adds little flourishes, for flavor.
How do you know it's just little flourishes?
I don't. Charlie does, though, and that's what matters. Now, a bald little bird named Raphael told me you had a mishap a couple nights ago.
Who's Raphael?
You probably know him as Commander Wingeride.
Is he one of the men who yelled at me after the bye-bye mommy thing? Not the French one, the weirdly dreamy one.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay, sorry.
You're not forgiven. So, do you want to tell me what happened the other night?
Why would I tell you? Who are you?
I'm Mikey, and tonight I'm your remedial trainer for inmate protocol, and to train you effectively...
Please don't say it like that.
Don't say what like what?
Don't say you're going to train me. I just... Look, what do you need from me, Mikey?
I need you to not hold the inmates' hands anymore. None of their hands, but especially not the bye-bye mommies, because she's bad. That's why she's here in monster jail, because she's a monster who's bad.
I wasn't holding her hand. Look, after relating some clearly distressing information, she reached out to me. I assumed for comfort, so I
held her hand, which gave her the energy she needed to bore a hole into her little pocket dimension and escape custody so she could go kidnap more kids.
Have they caught her yet?
Oh, yeah. Christoph caught her in like an hour. Did you just shiver?
No, I flinched.
Why? Is it because I said Christoph's name?
I don't know.
Christoph.
Can you please just do what you came to do?
I already did.
What?
I came to train you not to hold the inmates' hands. As far as I'm concerned, our training is concluded. Do you have any questions about your anti-hand-holding training, Agent Bean?
No.
Then I'm out.
No, wait. Just a minute. Please?
Well, since you asked so nicely.
Okay, so the Harlequin.
You're not supposed to hold his hand either.
No, I mean, after the agency, after they catch that thing again.
The Harlequin?
Yes, that's who I mean.
Call him the Harlequin, not that thing. It makes him really mad.
Okay. So when they catch the Harlequin again...
Recontain.
I'm sorry?
Don't say when they catch him. Say when they recontain him. He's a god, not a dog. Show some respect.
Are you messing with me?
Hell yeah, I am.
Well, can you stop for a second and answer my question?
You haven't asked a question yet.
When they recontain him, are they...
I was trying to see if this is the same voice actor that does Charlie, which it doesn't sound like it is, but... it sounds like it is, but it doesn't look like it is from what I can see down here. But yeah, Mikey Wing... So this is Mikey Wingeride, there's Charles Wingeride, and Raphael Wingeride. So they're all they're supposed to be three brothers, although it seems like two of them are voiced by women, which is fine, whatever, or maybe not, maybe not voiced by women, but anyways, doesn't matter. I'm not trying to be super picky about that. I was just trying to get a sense of, are they three brothers? Like, within the context of the story, are they all three brothers? In which case, I find it really dubious that, like, all the people who seem to be higher up in the Agency of Helping Hands is, like, one family. Like, that seems suspicious, to say the least. And, you know, then you have Agent Christoph Wolf, which is, you know, another inmate. And so, yeah, I just, because the Wingeride family clearly you know, is tied in with the Agency of Helping Hands. And so, yeah, I'm wondering if there will ever be a straight up Wingeride episode where it's like where Agent Bean's interviewing one of, whether it's Dr. Charlie or it's one of these other people. And yeah, just to get a sense, because Mikey and Charlie, not only did they sound kind of similar, but to me, because this is Emma Lou Braun, it says, and then Louis Freeman, but they seem to kind of almost even act similar in the way that they're in the way that they keep fucking with Agent Bean. You know what I mean? They keep being like, Charles is like, "Oh, you're doing great, you know, whatever, but get in there and go talk to the big bad wolf." You know what I mean? And now Mikey's doing kind of the same thing with the Harlequin. So I don't know. I find that interesting that these two characters that kind of like to fuck with the newbie, and then there's the one who was like Raphael, who was actually pissed when the Bye Bye Mommy, you know, escaped, and like he seemed to be kind of the boss. I don't know, or at least like he came down on Agent Bean like he was a boss, whereas these two other characters seem like, although Charles is the direct superior, it seems like they're more, I don't know, cavalier about the whole thing. So that's, I'm just trying to get a sense of the hierarchy of all these characters. And yeah, it's interesting, right? And it's interesting that we know the Harlequin, because it's like, well, obviously they just add little flourishes here and there, but I'm like, even if they figure out how to contain the Harlequin's just going to change the handbook so that no one knows how to contain it. So unless they can completely stop it in its tracks, it's going to remain that way. Like, they might have already found out how to contain it, and the Harlequin just erased that from reality. You know what I mean? So, and I love the idea of, like, its jaws protruding from the cloak, and just its creepy, like, scars and all that stuff. Clearly it was tortured or hurt very badly, and it says it has, its children are beings that have suffered like more than it or as much as it. So its children, I'm kind of thinking to believe are these ghostly riders that these other mythical versions of the Harlequin are forced to, you know, they're forced to spectral hosts, cursed to ride endlessly across the earth on horseback without rest. It's like it collects these other entities to kind of join it in its whatever servitude it calls it or whatever. You know, very creepy.
They really gonna just sit me down in front of a god with full power over life, the universe, and everything, and make me ask him why he likes to make babies cry?
Yes. Any other questions?
Well, how likely are they to catch him?
Not likely at all.
What do you mean?
They never catch him. Like, ever. He just always comes back.
So you're telling me that the Harlequin, this reality-destroying entity beyond all human comprehension, always comes back to the monster prison he keeps breaking out of?
Yes.
Why?
He says we amuse him, but between you and me, and don't tell anyone I said this, or Raphael will lock me up, and no, I'm not exaggerating, I think he's kind of attached to us.
That sounds pretty dog-like to me. But wait, why isn't any of that in his file?
There's a lot that's not in the Harlequin's file.
Like what?
Why are you asking?
Well, because as penance for accidentally facilitating the release of a clinically insane child-murdering ghost, Dr. Wingeride gave me homework.
You let Charlie give you homework?
Yeah, he's my boss. It's not like I can say no.
Everyone says no to Charlie.
Well, I didn't, and I won't. Anyway, look. So part of my job is putting together detailed case files for the inmates. And right now, I'm making one for the Harlequin.
So
I think it's actually kind of lucky that you came here tonight.
Why?
Because you clearly know things about the Harlequin that aren't in any of the documentation that I have. And given that the Harlequin is the most dangerous inmate in the Pantheon, and that I have to interview him eventually, I think it's probably a pretty good idea to learn everything I can.
On one hand, I'm not opposed to helping you. On the other, I'm opposed to Charlie.
Look, the only information I've got about the Harlequin is this tiny folder and a couple of lines in the weirdest employee handbook I've ever seen, and they're going to make me interview this thing.
Not this thing, the Harlequin.
They're going to make me interview an entity that can literally unexist me. I need every bit of information I can get, okay? I'm scared.
Oh, really? I can't tell.
Please.
All right. Here's what I know that's not in his file or the employee handbook. You ready?
Yes.
The first and most important thing is no one's ever gotten the whole truth out of him. That's why administration is so excited about you. You might be able to make him tell the truth, which no one has ever done. He literally just makes shit up all the time. Sometimes to be scary, sometimes to be funny.
He's funny?
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. He's scary as shit. But he's also a master troll.
In what way?
Every
what?
Way. Every way.
What?
You just asked in what way is the Harlequin a master troll, and I said every, as in every way. The Harlequin is a massive troll in every way you can fathom. Some ways you can only comprehend when you're wasted at 3 a.m. Some you can only begin to think about wasted at 3 a.m. And some you probably have to be a god or something to even begin to understand, okay?
Okay, sorry. I'm just tired.
Getting dragged into a pocket dimension will do that. Trust me, I know. So let's see. The Harlequin lies, and he's a master troll in every way. What else? Oh, he loves harassing Vincent.
Who's Vincent?
Vincent is the senior agent in charge of his care team.
Oh.
Yeah, the two of them have a really weird thing going on. Like, almost an understanding, except creepy and really uncomfortable. Anyway, the Harlequin loves harassing everyone, but he loves harassing Vincent the most. And the only thing he loves more than harassing Vincent is Looney Tunes and maybe Kids in the Hall. Maybe.
You're telling me that the scariest monster known to man loves Looney Tunes?
Yeah, and pranks too.
What kind of pranks?
Good ones. Like this one Halloween, all the way back in 2001, the Harlequin crawled under his human leather cloak and began to chant in a language no one even recognized, let alone understood. He chanted for hours, right? Nothing staff did stopped him or even made him stumble. Of course, everyone in the Pantheon started to panic. They thought he was reciting a spell to blast the agency off the face of the earth or something. So administration pulled every single agent off regular duty to figure out how to stop him. He chanted for 47 hours straight before an S-class agent finally figured out what language he was speaking.
What kind of language takes 47 hours to identify?
Apparently, an obscure Alsatian dialect. That's basically ancient French, I think. Anyway, even after they figured out the language, it still took them hours to translate his chant. And it turned out his chant wasn't a spell. It wasn't a ritual. It wasn't magic. It wasn't anything but a transliteration of the bad touch by the Bloodhound Gang.
Mikey?
Yes, Agent Bean?
Are you fucking with me?
Nope.
So the most dangerous thing the agency, and possibly the entire world, has ever known once spent a Halloween weekend trolling everyone by singing shock rock in ancient German.
Ancient French. And yep.
Why isn't that in his file?
Because he took it out.
Why hasn't anyone put it back in?
Because every time someone tries, he punishes them.
Do we know why?
The Harlequin says he made a translation error that he only noticed after the fact, and the error was too embarrassing to exist.
Just for information's sake, how does he punish the people who try to add it back in?
He turns them into people piñatas.
Oh.
Candy and all.
Okay.
Blood too, of course, but somehow the blood is less weird than the candy. At least in the moment.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I should hope that they finally catch this thing or...
Not catch, not thing. Recontain him.
I don't know if I should hope they finally recontain him or if I should just hope he stays gone.
I hope he's recontained soon. Life's more interesting when he's around.
I guess so. Well, thank you, Mikey. I really do appreciate your time and help.
Are you kicking me out? After I helped you with your Charlie homework and everything?
Well, you can leave or keep helping me with Charlie homework, which you're apparently opposed to, so...
Maybe I'm feeling helpful. Or maybe I just want to know what other homework that dumbass is making you do.
Okay, well, he's making me listen to an audio file of the employee handbook.
Why?
Because he got some reports that something was odd with it, and he thought having me comb through it until I found the problem would help me get a good grasp on how things work around here.
I wonder if it'll help you get a good grasp on how not to hold the inmates' hands.
I guess time will tell.
Wait, he said there's something odd with it? What kind of odd?
I don't know yet.
Well, now I'm curious. Let's see.
Mikey? Please don't touch my computer.
It's not your computer. It's the agency's. Where's the handbook file? Is it in your email?
It's not a file. It's a tape.
A tape? Like a cassette tape? What the hell, Charlie? God.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said, but he said he prefers analog media, so...
So I repeat. What the hell, Charlie? God. So where's this tape?
It's already in the player, but look, you really don't have to...
Handbook of Information and Protocol for the Agency of Helping Hands, North American Special Containment Unit, Ward 1. Revised February 14th, 2008.
2008? If I'm going to figure out what's odd with this handbook, don't I need the current version?
This is the current version.
Are you serious?
Serious as Christoph's reconditioning protocols.
What?
Section 1. Purpose and History. Founded in 1828, the purpose of the Agency of Helping Hands is to capture, manage, train, incarcerate, and, when necessary, annihilate beings and entities whose existence presents a grave and immediate threat to human beings.
Wait, is that Charlie narrating?
Took you this long to recognize him? Don't you work with him all day, every day?
Well, yeah, but
The unique name is taken from the agency's first inmate, a traveling performer called Mr. Helping Hands, who assisted various splinter groups in inciting resistance against the United States government during the country's colonial expansion. While the agency's very first goal was to capture and contain Mr. Helping Hands, it was far from the last. As years passed and human technological progress encroached upon, and in many cases helped detect, other entities, the agency's purview expanded to include the capture, control, containment, and destruction of these creatures as necessary. While the agency's scope shifted, its name continued to allow it to fly under the national radar. Its similarity to the names of religious charities that cropped up on the American frontier over the ensuing decade made it easy to infiltrate other organizations, identify threats, and recruit new agents. For a time, the Agency of Helping Hands even worked with famed mental health reformer Dorothea Dix, which allowed personnel unprecedented access to both potential assets and hitherto overlooked threats.
that's kind of sick.
I wouldn't say kind of.
Finally, the name facilitated financial assistance from philanthropists, the general public, and unsuspecting government agencies without scrutiny. The name has been kept through the following centuries, largely because containing Mr. Helping Hands has remained a primary goal of the agency.
Mr. Helping Hands is still alive?
Kind of.
Will I get to interview him?
I doubt it.
Why?
Stop interrupting and pay attention.
To date, the agency's numerous attempts to destroy Mr. Helping Hands have all failed. He is, for all intents and purposes, perfectly immortal. Therefore, Mr. Helping Hands is classified as an indestructible, non-cooperative inmate. Due to his advanced metaphysical abilities and deeply problematic physiology, he is under constant sedation to prevent breach and ensure the safety of agency personnel. The last attempt to awaken Mr. Helping Hands occurred on August 4th, 1980. In terms of personnel casualties, this attempt remains one of the most catastrophic events in agency history. No further attempts have been made to wake Mr. Helping Hands, and none should be made in the future for any reason.
Please note that the opinion expressed above is that of a true coward. Of course, the agency is aware that cowardice is one of Dr. Wingerite's stronger suits. One might go so far as to say that weakness is his greatest strength.
What was that?
That was the Harlequin.
The Harlequin rewrote the employee handbook?
That wasn't a rewrite, just a flourish. Let's see how many other flourishes we find.
There was a silver lining to this catastrophe, however. The ramifications forced the Agency of Helping Hands to reevaluate its methods and treatment of our inmates. Consequently, a sort of non-human rights movement arose among many agency personnel. Handlers and guards insisted that when it came to self-awareness, feelings, and thought processes, the incarcerated were at least on par with human beings, and in many cases superior. In any circumstance, solitary confinement without the meeting of basic needs amounted to torture. Was the agency truly comfortable with the wholesale torture, murder, and destruction of gods and monsters?
Please note that the answer is yes. Yes, the agency truly was comfortable.
There's flourish number 2.
When the agency finally answered that question, the answer was a reluctant no. This answer wasn't solely or even primarily for the benefit of the inmates. It was for the safety of personnel and humanity at large. Frequent containment breaches by the most dangerous and powerful beings in the world resulted in casualties large and small. Much of that violence was executed as revenge for the appalling treatment inmates received at the hands of agency personnel. However, even when treatment of the inmates improved, results did not. In many cases, there was no way to communicate to these creatures that the terms of their confinement had changed. Many speak languages long since lost to humanity. Some do not speak at all. This has introduced indescribable difficulties in management of the AHH's so-called monster asylum, so much so that the initiative was quietly abandoned. Nevertheless, it has become increasingly clear that communication and treatment are necessary. Due to appalling treatment by decades of poorly trained AHH personnel informed by outdated policy and problematic social mores, many of these entities have been traumatized beyond comprehension for a minimum of 2 human lifetimes. While euthanasia is the obvious and preferred solution, these beings are incarcerated in the first place because they are indestructible and cannot be euthanized through any known means. Forced to live in captivity, often in conditions that would otherwise constitute a war crime, these creatures have human or above human intelligence and capabilities that defy human understanding of reality. Therefore, they must be treated as such until euthanasia can be achieved, not for their safety, but for ours.
It took them until 2008 to figure that out?
No. It took them until 2008 for it to even occur to them.
Unfortunately, the Agency of Helping Hands has failed in this, just as it has failed in the majority of its other responsibilities. It has certainly failed to design and implement a framework for humane treatment of its inmates.
Please note that a man capable of admitting to his myriad flaws may be admired. He's not to be forgiven, but admiration is acceptable.
Flourish 3.
The situation is salvageable, however. Various staff members have observed that a number of agency inmates are cooperative and willingly work alongside human handlers for the greater good. In cases such as these, the agency deploys all measures to ensure a healthy and productive partnership, and should be commended and supported in these efforts. These beings are put to use in various ways until they can no longer function, or until they rebel, at which point they are destroyed if possible, and incarcerated if not. It must be noted that the majority of agency inmates are either uncooperative or unusable, with the notable exception of TSE-class agents. Rarely, the agency encounters highly dangerous entities that cannot be rehabilitated and are either not able to be destroyed by any known means, or are too valuable to be destroyed at the present time. These inmates are contained at the agency's highest security facility, which functions, if you will, as a supermax prison for monsters.
Please note, the inmates aren't the only monsters here.
He does have a point.
Section 2. The North American Pantheon. The agency's incarceration facility is known by several names, most commonly the Monster Asylum and the Zoo.
Who's reading now?
Administrator.
So this part of the story, like, we've gone into what the Harlequin is and all that stuff, and get a sense of the Harlequin's personality and the voice actor that's like gonna portray them, which I do like. But it's also like a rehashing of the agency's history and what the prison does, what the agency does, and just overall, like, the system, you know, the prison system as it exists today, which I kind of like because it's breezed over in a few different parts of the story, but we're getting a more in-depth analysis, and we're getting a monster's point of view on it, which is fun. It's kind of like a prison handbook or whatever, like, that was written for guards, but the inmates get to put in, advice to, or something like that. And yeah, I just like it. The episode's called The Harlequin. We're getting information about the Harlequin for sure, but I feel like we're getting more information about the organization and facility as a whole. Like especially with that bit about Mr. Helping Hands and all that stuff, which again, super interesting. I wonder if they'll ever wake him up in the course of the series. We'll have to see. But yeah, even though it's like just exposition-y and it's describing some stuff that we might already know, I think it's adding a lot more like texture and flavor to the overall, organization, the lore of the organization, and it's just fun. So I'm not I'm not commenting a lot on it because I'm just taking it in and listening to it. But I do like that the stories, because sometimes you'll get into a series and then you'll be like, oh, I know that this question that I have was answered, in that first episode where they went over the handbook, but I don't remember it. And so I think it's good for a series to, as people get into it, to kind of remind people of stuff. And I feel like that's a lot of what this episode does, is remind us of whatever the agency's roles, the nicknames they have for things, the different classifications and stuff, because it is a whole new nomenclature that you kind of have to learn, like, the different, there's cooperative, non-cooperative, but then there's also TSE class and all these other destructible, whatever, protean, like, stuff where, corporeal, non-corporeal, like, and yeah, it just, I find it helpful that the series, does that. And it's probably why this episode was significantly longer, but I like it. And even though it may be boring to some people, or it may be like, they're like, get back to the story. Without this framework, the story can't function in a expedited way like it normally does, so you have to have these parts to kind of remind people.
Cortez,
Am I going to meet her?
you should probably hope not.
Due to the derogatory nature of these titles, however, the agency chose to take a different direction. In 1987, the facility was officially renamed the Pantheon, out of respect for the inmates and their unique and incredible natures. Although it was renamed yet again to North American Specialized Containment Unit recently in 2004, most personnel still refer to the facility as the North American Pantheon.
Please note that we would like to formally agree with Administrator Cortez due to the fact that she at least understands the singular challenges one faces when attempting to reach lofty goals as children, figurative and literal, squabble and rage underfoot.
Is the administrator friendly with the Harlequin?
God, no.
Section 3. Inmate Classification. The Agency of Helping Hands has developed a multi-point classification system for inmates at the Pantheon. Classification is necessary in order to assess and design appropriate safety protocols. The most important aspects of agency classification are the inmate's willingness and ability to obey and fulfill agency directives. Classification also takes into account an inmate's mortality or whether the agency possesses the ability to destroy the inmate. It also includes the inmate's origin, threat level, abilities, and power. All 6 criteria are combined into a unique classification string. The classification guidelines for the Pantheon inmates are described in the next section.
Before moving on to the most wildly offensive section in the entire handbook, the agency wishes to clarify that classifying extraordinary and extraordinarily varied beings into narrow-minded categories is little more than a crime.
Section A. Cooperation and Obedience. Classification. This classification unit has 3 categories. Uncooperative. Entity is unwilling to cooperate with the agency. Non-cooperative. The entity is not capable of cooperating with the agency. Cooperative. Entity is willing and capable of cooperating with the agency's directives.
And which are you?
Cooperative?
Right. And whatever anyone tells you, so am I. Very cooperative. What's the Harlequin?
Uncooperative?
And do we hold the hands of uncooperative inmates?
Well, given that he's a reality-warping god, I can't exactly refuse if he asks, can I?
Well reasoned, but reason doesn't always get you far in law enforcement. So next time, I want you to stick with no.
Section B. Mortality classification.
Distills to a single and rather dispiriting consideration whether the agency can kill the inmates to their satisfaction or not.
All inmates incarcerated at OUT fall into one of two categories. Destructible. The agency is capable of destroying the inmate. Indestructible. The agency is not capable of destroying the inmate.
Agent Bean, which classification are you?
Destructible?
Remember that.
Moving on, hopefully to more interesting pastures.
Section C. Origin classification.
As if where something began has any bearing on where it ends.
Chthonic. Chthonic entities are entities whose abilities manifest after death, or an entity that plausibly originates from what is commonly referred to as the underworld or spirit world. They may or may not possess corporeal bodies. The Bye-Bye Mommy and the Big Bad Wolf are prime examples of chthonic entities.
Correction! The Big Bad Dog is a prime example of nothing except perhaps blind obedience to authority.
Gaian. Entities who originate from the physical world and possess physical bodies. Numa and King Mojave Green are Gaian entities.
They are, in other words, frightfully dull.
Olympic. Entities that originate from a plane of existence beyond our own. The Harlequin is an Olympic-class entity.
And in more ways than one.
Agnosto. Entities of an unknown origin. The dodecahedron and the heartbird are examples of Agnosto-class inmates. Casualty. A human being who has obtained characteristics or abilities requiring the intervention of AHH. Titan. An organism or entity whose origination or creation was caused, directed, or otherwise influenced by this agency.
Please note that at the present time, agency administration has failed to explain why the horrific creations spawned by their blundering, bungling, and unforgivably inelegant interventions are called Titans, while the children upon which the Harlequin bestows talents and extraordinary abilities are classified as mere casualties.
All right, Agent Bean. If I were to cut out your heart right now and you came back stronger and killed me in a fit of vengeful rage, and then I came back stronger and you did the same and I did the same, and we were eternally bound in some kind of fucked up hate bond, what would that be considered?
That was weirdly specific, but I guess my answer is stupid and fucked.
I'll give you partial credit for that one. I was going for chthonic, but we would indeed both be stupid and fucked.
Section D. Appearance classification. Protean. A classification of protean indicates that the entity's appearance is variable. This may or may not be voluntary. For example, because her appearance changes when in emotional distress, the Bye-Bye Mommy is considered protean. Constant. The entity's appearance stays fixed and consistent. Section E. Threat classification. An inmate's threat class refers to the inmate's likelihood of harming human beings. Please note that threat classification is unrelated to Dionism classification. Threat classification falls on a spectrum between low and critical. A threat classification of low indicates the entity is unlikely to harm human beings.
Or, in other words, docile, gentle, broken, and of course well-fed. This is because a fed dog doesn't bite its keeper. unless it's a very bad dog. And this agency doesn't keep bad dogs, nor does it keep hungry ones. Hungry ones bite. The hungrier they are, the harder they bite. When mere hunger finally descends into ravenousness, the situation quickly becomes
critical. This threat classification indicates the entity consistently attacks human beings. In between low and critical, we have the following classification levels. Moderate. This classification indicates the entity has attacked human beings in the past, and attacks remain possible, but are unlikely to occur. For example, because prior attacks were caused by human provocation or factors that have since been identified and controlled. Substantial. This means the entity is somewhat likely to attack human beings with or without provocation. Severe. This means the entity is highly likely to attack human beings.
More quiz time.
Can I listen again before you quiz me?
No, but don't worry. I'll make it easy for you by sticking to the inmates who matter most. You, me, the Harlequin, and Kristoff. Where do we fall?
I assume I'm low. You too, right? Otherwise they wouldn't let you walk around freely.
If you say so.
The Harlequin would have to be critical.
And Kristoff?
Not low.
Funny enough, he's also critical.
How is that funny?
Don't ask stupid questions.
Section F. Dynamism classification. Dynamism is an inmate's type and degree of impact on its targets and environment. Or, put more crudely, its power level. The agency separates inmates into 6 different dynamism classifications.
Please note there is only one dynamism classification that matters, which is
Egregore. Inmates whose dynamism can disrupt life on a mass scale. The Harlequin is an Egregore class inmate. Theos. Inmate whose dynamism is critically dangerous and can be exerted and or expressed on a target without requiring the target to be in close physical proximity. The Heartbird is a Theos class inmate. Hematheos. Inmates with critically dangerous split dynamism. Some elements of its dynamism can be expressed without requiring a target to be in close physical proximity, while other elements of its dynamism require close physical proximity to its target. Pantomime and the Bye Bye Mommy are Hematheos class inmates. Demon. Inmates with critical or dangerous dynamism expression that is limited to its immediate vicinity and or people in close proximity. King Mojave Green and the Jar of Clay are demon class inmates. Terrors. Inmates with critical and or dangerous dynamism that does not express itself in traditionally supernatural ways. The dynamism of the Terras class inmates expresses as enhanced abilities found naturally in nature, including but not limited to speed, strength, and camouflage. They are only critically dangerous due to the degree of enhancement. Numa and the Bag Lady are Terras class inmates. Apaley. Inmates with dynamism that is highly dangerous, but easily neutralized through standard means. The Ghoul of Aleppo is an Apelli class inmate. Danos. Inmates with high dynamism that is deliberately expressed in a low-impact manner.
Or, put differently, things that could be so much more, contenting themselves with being less. In other words, the definition of wasted potential.
Miss Stitcher and the Big Bad Wolf are Dinos class inmates.
Case in point.
Kristoff is the big bad wolf, just so you know.
Yeah, I figured. Why do they call him that?
Because he's a werewolf. Well, kind of.
Are you fucking with me again?
Nope. He really is a super weird type of werewolf. He hates phasing, though. He has this specialized medication regimen to prevent it and everything.
Why?
He hates not being able to control himself, for one thing. For another, unexpected phasing tends to ruin clothes, and Kristoff is very attached to his wardrobe.
Huh. Does the medication work?
Oh, yeah. As far as I know, he hasn't phased since 2008, ironically.
Finally, we have the Phallos classification of inmates with low dynamism that expresses in a highly problematic or dangerous manner. Petra Sorrow and Lifeblood are Paulo's class inmates.
Quiz time. What dynamism classification does my mom have?
What?
Come on, Agent Bean. They mentioned her and everything.
When? Who even is your mom?
I'll tell you who's my mom if you tell me who's your daddy.
What?
Oh, right. I forgot. You don't know that yet.
Of course I know who my dad is. I don't know why it matters, but his name is...
Time's up. What's the difference between a chthonic inmate and a casualty inmate?
Chthonic inmates died before dynamism set in, and casualties didn't.
You weren't lying. You really are the worst listener. What's Kristoff's dynamism class?
Dinos. Not that anyone can pronounce anything consistently here.
See, was that so hard? Final question for this section. What's your classification string?
I didn't even know I had one, so I don't know.
Good.
Section 4. Agent Classifications.
Why is Kristoff narrating the employee handbook?
Because he's a trainer.
You're shitting me.
Nope. When he's not out in the field catching monsters with Raphael, he helps train the new recruits. You just wait. You'll be in one of his training classes before you know it.
I'm not attending training with him.
Oh, yes, you are.
Okay, why is he a trainer?
Partly because he's Charlie's favorite, but mostly because he's the best trainer we've got. Besides, it would hurt his feelings if you didn't go, and no one is allowed to hurt Kristoff's feelings. No one.
But that's not...
God, will you stop interrupting? It's bad enough that the Harlequin's doing it. We're never going to get through this if you don't shut up.
As an agent assigned to the Agency of Helping Hands North American Special Containment Unit, or AHHNASCU, your classification is either a Vaudeer, which is our detention staff, or as a member of the PAN, which is our medical staff.
Listeners, please note that you have my permission to skip the remainder of the section. The mission will persist until such time as the narrator is inhumanely euthanized.
While you serve as the first line of defense and the first point of contact for all inmates in your ward, you are only a small part of the agency as a whole. Your position at the Pantheon requires you to routinely work with agency personnel of differing classes, because multiple agents and divisions work together on different inmates. Therefore, it is important for you to understand the differing agent classifications, their purpose, and circumstances that require their assistance.
Didn't he do a good job? I think he did such a good job.
I hate his voice.
It'll grow on you.
Argonauts, or A-Class. A-Class are field agents whose scope of duties most closely resemble that of traditional law enforcement agencies. They are typically considered monster hunters. Their primary duty is to assure the capture and containment of agency targets at any cost.
Varangians, or V-Class. V-Class are undercover agents. They infiltrate institutions and communities to protect people from agency-involved threats. Their primary duty is to protect human beings at any cost.
Benedante, B-Class. These are agents who have the ability to operate on non-physical planes. Commonly referred to as bennies, their roles and responsibilities vary greatly. For example, a Benedante is currently assigned to identifying the location and nature of the Harlequin's City Bright.
Please note that the assignment is not merely current, but permanent, given that no one alive, dead, or in between has any chance of locating my City Bright without my direct involvement.
Another is currently on loan to the White House. These agents are very rare, very elite, and very highly paid. They are given the most personal and professional discretion of any classification within the Agency of Helping Hands. Most agents never encounter a Benedante over the course of their career. Their primary duties vary based on assignment.
Vardir V2 class. V2 class agents are the caretakers of the inmates at agency custody. They're essentially prison guards.
And are therefore not special enough to get their own letter.
The primary goal of all V2 class agents is to prevent containment breach at any cost.
Calderons, or C-class. C-class agents are priests, priestesses, monks, nuns, imams, rabbis, and other members of religious orders who possess unusual talents, commonly referred to as Ronnies. The classification takes its name from Pedro Ruiz Calderon, a Catholic priest who possesses mastery of numerous unorthodox skills, and who was eventually executed for his work.
Please note our formal expression of envy towards Father Calderon for being fortunate enough to die doing what he loved, a privilege denied to better men than he.
Father Calderon's descendant, Hansel Calderon de Cortez, was among the original team commissioned to capture Mr. Helping Hands. Their primary duty varies based on assignment.
Sefcats, S-Class. S-Class are agents who serve our organization as researchers, scientists, record keepers, librarians, and archaeologists. Their primary duties vary based on assignment.
Pantheon, or P-Class. The Pantheon is the agency's medical division. P-Class agents serve as our doctors, surgeons, nurses, and other personnel who provide healthcare and treatment to agency employees and inmates alike. Their primary duty is to provide care to all individuals associated with or incarcerated in the Pantheon at any cost.
TSC, or T-Class. T-Class are agents with abilities that require dynamism classification. In other words, agents whose abilities necessitate incarceration at the NASCU. Once identified, they are required to either join the agency or submit to termination.
I'm sorry, but this is simply intolerable. A moment, please.
TSC, or T-Class. T-Class are agents who require dynamism classification. In other words, agents whose abilities necessitate incarceration at NASCU. Once identified, they are required to either join the agency or submit to termination.
Better. Marginally.
Seriously?
That's your voice, isn't it?
Seems so, which is odd, given that I was in elementary school when this was recorded.
So, Harlequin nonsense.
Harlequin nonsense. But the only way through it is forward, so... TSC functions similarly to K9 units and are always partnered with an A or V class agent. When not in the field, TSC are housed inside the Pantheon to ensure their continued compliance with agency directives. Their primary duty is the protection of their Argonaut or Varangian partner at any cost. Failure to perform their duties may result in termination.
Section 5. Ward 1 Protocols. The agency's seemingly overwhelming number of rules, protocols, and expectations can be distilled into 2 exceedingly simple commands. Never forget where you are. Never forget what you are dealing with. Ward 1 houses many of the agency's most extraordinary inmates. A single miscalculation or careless move will jeopardize your life, the lives of your colleagues, and potentially the entire agency. In extraordinary cases, such as the Harlequin, even the smallest mistakes have the capacity to threaten humanity as a whole.
They mean mistakes like helping a notorious child murderer unbound by the laws of physics escape custody. You know, like you did.
Thanks for your input.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Where are you going?
Officially to bed. Unofficially to get drunk, probably with Christoph. Want to join?
Absolutely not. And shouldn't we tell someone about what the Harlequin did to the handbook?
Not tonight.
But this is serious. Isn't it?
I'll take care of it in the morning. Commander Wingeride is already in bed, and you don't want to wake that man up from his beauty sleep. Trust me. You coming or not?
Coming where?
To get drunk with me and Kristoff.
No.
Your loss.
Have a good night, Mikey.
Yeah. Good night, sis.
So that was the Harlequin. Like I said, interesting monster and stuff, but then it also I think does the important work of walking us through the classification system and all the stuff and what Agent Bean is, and the Agent Bean, it seems like, is eventually going to get partnered with an A class or V class agent, which I really look forward to that point in the series where they maybe like are investigating entities, or when she can leave the Pantheon, or are like hunting monsters. I think that is where the series is really going to like pick up steam. Although I don't know, maybe it's all still going to take place as like, I think it's just going to be audio files still of like investigative notes, though, instead of, like, this is my report on what happened with this monster, instead, but it'll be less of like, oh, this was just, I interviewed this one and this is what they said, and more of like, we went to this house and we found this person murdered and we think it's this supernatural entity that did it, because I like that kind of mystery element too. I want them to get to the point where they're solving mysteries, entities, they're capturing them, in real time, that'll be really exciting. Because there's these point in the series where they're like, he was captured at great cost to the agency, and that's all the info we get. And that's fine for, for certain entities and certain times, but then also in the back of my mind, I wonder like what that entails, how many people died, what other entities did they have to bring in to help them capture this one entity, so to speak, and that's really fun for me to like theorize, and I can see why fans and people write their own fan fiction of this series, because there's just so much you can do with it. Similar to like the SCP universe, there's literally any folklore, any supernatural entity you could plug into this series and have them either have a run-in with the agency or get captured and sent to the Pantheon. There's so much to do with it, and yeah, it's really exciting for me to just think about like, well, what if the Loch Ness monsters at the Pantheon? We just got all these other monsters named, just random ones, and every time my mind's right, it's like King Gaia or what, like, or the green something, there's all these names, and you're just like, it's just hard to not want to pause and Google every one of them. But I'm resisting doing that so that I can allow myself to be surprised as these new episodes come out. But yeah, that was the Harlequin. And so next up we would have the Bag Lady. But I think I'm gonna end the stream for tonight for just because I'm getting kind of tired. But then also, the Bag Lady is one that I'm probably gonna want to spend a lot of time on, because I really is one of my favorite ones, as I said, and I know I'm gonna nerd out too much. And then we have So yeah, we only have 3 left. Obviously, there will be a new one probably on Sunday, but that is the North American Pantheon. It's always a treat, and I think getting to the Harlequin episode is a good place to stop because it really it specifies a lot of the stuff that we've just heard colloquially used throughout the series. It goes deeper into all that, and so it's kind of a good place to get to if you're listening to the series, you know, because then you kind of know how everything works. But one thing I do want to say is the other thing that really just shows you how much they put into the series, that during that classification part, they have Kristoff, they have all these other characters that we haven't even heard from yet, like the prison guard guy, and then the medical staff, you know, and all these are different voice actors, and it's so exciting because you could see the scope of this like cast and just how much effort they put into it. It's so awesome, and I think it's so criminally, I mean, it's new, right? It's still new, so I'm not, you know, I'm not going to be too like the views are too low, it should be higher, but I do think it deserves so much more attention and views, and I just hope that in the future, you know, I don't know how, whether, you know, other YouTubers and stuff will like promote the series more or watch it, or maybe people will you know, like TikTok, maybe people will make TikTok videos or something, you know. I don't know, but I know the series deserves a lot more attention because I'm super into it. I love it thus far. I think the bag lady is, I'll save it for when I go into it, but the bag lady is an episode that I think you could just show to anybody and be like, this is what this series is about, this is what it can do in just one simple 40-minute episode, and just how like impactful it can be just in that quick little 40 minutes, and that you could just show it to anybody and they could maybe not understand every little facet of it, but they can get the story and get hooked into the series that way, you know. And that I think is very very cool, you know. So I look forward to the next time I get to react to this, listen to this. I really, you know, again, shout out to the North American Pantheon and Dopabeane for just writing the series and then letting me react to it. And yeah, I can't wait to see where it goes, you know. It's fucking awesome. So much fun. So I mean, just from Baby Girl to the interview with Kristoff, and then the Harlequin and the handbook and all that stuff, it's the episodes do a really good job of making you be like, oh, that story was so good, you know. I'm so captivated by it, and then just immediately tossing you into the next thing where you're like, holy shit, you know. And you just feel, I feel like a kid on Christmas. I feel like I'm just getting, there's another present under the tree and I'm just getting to unwrap it. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to have with a series, knowing that there's more to come, you know. That's always so just entertaining and fun. And then the only other thing that I'll say is, before we go, is that my next stream, I am going to get back to reading stories. You know, I didn't expect to do 2 just listening or reacting streams back to back, but yeah, I will keep reading stories. I haven't moved away from that. I'm going to get back to it. We're going to read probably some Devil's Den, and some other, maybe a new story from Boots on my next stream. So yeah, just look out for that. Yeah, I tried to just do a stream when hopefully more people would be awake. I know it's still almost 11 o'clock now, my time, but it's hard for me because usually, I don't wake up till fucking 8 p.m. And so it's hard to find a time when people will be able to tune in live or converse in the chat and stuff. And I want people to be able to do that, so that's why I kind of did this stream a little earlier and tried to make it more accessible. But anyways, that's just my struggles, with working nights and the shit I got going on in my life. But as always, thank you, friends and fiends, for enjoying another RedDeathMask stream. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope more than anything that you go subscribe to the series, join the subreddit, follow Dopabeane on, Substack and all the other places. And just, enjoy this series. Enjoy this series that honestly is like a great audio drama that we're just getting for free on YouTube. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know if there's been interest, on like Dopabeane's side of things of people making this series on like Audible or something else. But in my opinion, like the series that they made, this could be for sale on, Audible or on, these audio series websites. And the fact that we just get it for free for everyone on YouTube is just so awesome. I'm really like blown away by the production level, as well as the fact that, there's just these new episodes coming out every week, It's fucking awesome. I love it. So, shout out the North American Pantheon. Shout out Dopabeane. Shout out to you, RedDeathMask viewers. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Harvey, Harold, great to talk to you guys. Peace out. Adios.